That I can't believe that didn't make it into the lyric book. To be quite honest, and actually,
for sure. Well, it made it on Church Hymns Now, so
it did. In fact,
remake
I'm not
that
convinced.
collector's edition.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, like, I'm just like, wait, is it in the collector's edition?
welcome to Church Jams Now, the podcast where three former youth group kids and current music nerds deep dive into Christian music from the 90s and 2000s. I, of course, am your co-host, Kylan Savage. With me, as always, is Mr. TJ Smith.
How now, Red Cow? I think it's a good rainbow sign that we're doing this record, Kylan.
Wow, love it. We also have beautiful producer Josh Olson.
Hey guys, I'm just here enjoying the magic lantern days of summer.
Wow, really solid showing from you guys. I appreciate it. We also have a returning guest. We have Mr. Mike Almquist. Mike, how you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I don't have a pun. I was trying to figure out a way to work in D minor, but
oh yeah.
Yeah, your lack of a
but
pun.
My mind is not quick enough to do it.
Well,
I should have been prepared.
Yeah. I really did almost
wear a watermelon ascot
tonight. No, I'm so serious.
If anybody was going to do it.
Someone made one for us, right? Someone made watermelon ascots for the band and brought them to the show in Austin, Texas. And that's
I've seen a picture of Aaron wearing one.
Greg had one too. Yes, yes.
Amazing.
That's
incredible.
So good. So for listeners that are unaware, first of all, how dare you? But if they're unaware of who you are, Mike, can you give us just a brief overview of who you are and why you're here covering Pale Horses by Me Without You?
Well, I am the manager for Me Without You, whatever that means in this current iteration. But I was certainly the manager and the tour manager and the person in charge of producing Pale Horses along with the band at the end in 2014 and 2015.
That is awesome.
And so we put that record out together. We shopped it around. We did all the stuff. So
that's so cool. I do have to say I have a brief aside. I was listening to the record in the car with my daughter, and I was telling her that we were listening to it because we're covering it on the podcast, and that I'm talking to the manager of the band, and she said, "What's the manager?" And I was like, "Well, he's a guy that's like kind of in the band, and he takes care of a lot of the like business stuff." She's like, "That is really cool." So, Mike, I think you might inspire my daughter to be a band manager one day.
Cool. Yeah,
it is pretty cool.
She's 4, but she's super stoked about it. So she's excited.
She's got a good head on her shoulders.
She'll be applying to your summer internship program next year. Probably,
yes,
so.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Mike, if you can start mentoring her next year,
perfect. We'll start shipping out records.
Perfect. Yeah, she's a hard worker. So
good.
Awesome. Yeah, we're talking about Pale Horses by American rock band Me Without You. Josh, should we just go ahead and get into my favorite part of the show?
Kylan, before we get to that, I just have to say I'm just sad that this isn't an opportunity for you to redeem yourself in Mike's eyes in regard to your horrible opinion of the Killer's discography.
You're going to bring that up already.
I had to say this early.
Of course.
Listen,
no, we got to set the record straight.
I'm only one glass of wine in.
This isn't an opportunity for you to set the record straight.
Listen,
and
I will set
a travesty.
I will set this record so straight. The Killers are a garbage band. No, I don't want to have this fight, guys. We'll save it for the Patreon.
Yikes. All right. I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
We should clear the air.
Which to people, I don't know. I think that was in the episode, wasn't it?
I think it was in the episode.
Yeah. I don't
it
know.
was.
If you haven't, if this is your first episode hearing Mike, we also interviewed him, so you can get a backstory on him and also his beef, him and Kylan's beef on the Killers.
On the Killers.
So.
Not only was it in the episode, you guys did an ad read around it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I did do that. Yeah.
Which I was
That's
pleasantly
right.
surprised by that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So go listen to that interview if you haven't.
And let us know whose side you're on about the Killers.
Yeah. This is
America
very
is on my
relevant.
side. As they are a wildly popular and artistically successful band.
that's fair.
Agreed, Mike.
That's fair. I don't like the one like rah USA song that they did in like 2017 or whatever. That just listen. We're not going to get into it.
Yeah.
Josh,
Yeah.
This isn't
Tell
Killers
us-
Jams now. This is
Right.
Church Jams now.
tell us about this record. And Mike,
Maybe it should be.
if Josh gets anything wrong at this point, just let me know and we can kick him off the Zoom call.
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
Well,
Got
good luck because I'm coming prepared tonight with the vinyl record that my wife purchased from her own private Waterloo Records in Austin, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, the band we're talking about is mewithoutYou from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Members for this record are, of course, Aaron Weiss on vocals, Michael Weiss on guitar, Ricky is it Mazzotta? Mazzata?
It's Mazzata.
Mazzata. Ricky Mazzata on drums. I've got to say, I'm just going to get out of the way now. One of my favorite drummers. So always
for sure.
listen to him.
100%.
Yep.
Honestly, watching him, everyone loves watching Aaron. I love watching Ricky play.
No,
He's
Ricky's the best.
Ricky's the best playing. Greg Jehanian on bass and Brandon Beaver on guitar. Is this Mike his first like official release or release as an official member?
So, yes. I mean, he was a contributing songwriter on 10 Stories. And so, but Brandon came along. He became an official member in the interim between those two records, between 10 Stories and Pale Horses. So this was his first time that he sat down and, they probably did like, I don't know, 20 songs for this album. And so he was 1/5 of the songwriting process the entire way through. I think he's only on 4 or 5 songs maybe 4 songs on 10 Stories.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Awesome.
Nice.
Thanks for clearing.
and he makes
that.
all the difference.
Yeah.
He makes all the
adds a lot.
difference on this
Yeah.
record, in my opinion,
Yeah.
with bringing an extra guitar.
Definitely. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The record we're talking about tonight is Pale Horses, which I saw some alternate titles potentially on the vinyl are Christmas Cards for the Mentally Ill, which frankly, Mr. Shankly, I find that title quite intriguing.
Boy, this is going to all be puns and references. This whole,
Yeah. Welcome to Church Jams Now, motherfucker.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Other ones are Goodbye Comedy, Pale Horse Comedy, Pale Horse Songs, and then ultimately Pale Horses. At least that was, it looked like the process of arriving at that. It was released on June 16th of 2015, so we were covering it for its 10-year anniversary. This episode should be airing on the 10-year anniversary date, which is exciting. This is mewithoutYou's 6th LP, their first on Run for Cover Records, which they did their follow-up record on as well. It was produced, engineered, and mixed by Mr. Will Yip, who, my goodness, I'm excited. I don't think, this is probably the only time on Church Jams Now proper that we'll get to talk about Will Yip, but my goodness, this guy knows how to produce a record.
Yeah.
Maybe you've heard of some bands such as Title Fight, Turnover, Circus Survive, /Anthony Green, /Seosin, /Ellis Dunes, Turnstile, Movement, Citizen, Balance and Composure, Pianos Becoming the Teeth, Isley Say Anything, just really anything and
Miss
everything.
Tiger's Jaw. Miss Tiger's Jaw.
Tiger's Jaw, yes.
That's a biggie for me. That's a biggie
true.
for me.
Yeah.
To name a few.
Yeah, I discovered one of my favorite records last year. I'd never even heard of Origami Angel, but William produced it. And I was like, I'll check it out because William did it. And you know what? It was a great record. So
It was a good record.
it was a good record. So yeah, William, always doing great stuff. This record debuted on Billboard 200 at number 62. Pretty solid showing. And I saw
wow.
Billboard
Nice.
Alternative on number 10.
I don't think I knew that.
Wow.
At
Look
least
at that.
according to Wikipedia. Good job. You guys charted. Runtime is 11 songs at 39 minutes, 25 seconds. Layout design and management by Michael Almquist. And
Ooh.
artwork by Vasily Kafanoff, which it says this was ink on paper in 1987. is what I saw on his
something
website.
like that. Yeah, I'd have to
something
look at
like
the year.
that. Yeah, so at least for some of the prints that he was selling. So yeah, that's all my research.
Wow.
Anything wrong? Anything wrong?
I didn't hear anything wrong. Maybe the 1987 thing's wrong. Maybe it's 78. I think it's 78.
I saw
actually,
there were a couple of different copyrights.
There are different ones. There are different.
Yeah.
So ink on paper that comes from. I know that I think the album cover is actually 78.
No,
I could be wrong, but I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You know what I mean? That in fact, in 2015, you're putting out a record with artwork that came from
78.
basically new artwork.
Yeah.
That comes from 78.
100%.
It feels like you're really reaching back in time and
sweet.
pulling out something.
Unfortunately, though, because he got it wrong, we do have to boot Josh off of the
That's it.
off of the podcast.
The zero tolerance podcast.
I have receipts for the 1987. It's from Vasily's website. I can show you guys. I promise.
I believe
Give me
it.
one more
I do
chance.
believe it. I believe that I
So, actually, though, I do have some beef to bring up with Josh before we continue. TJ was trying to start something between me and Mike, but really, the real issue I have tonight is with beautiful producer, our Everlord, Josh Olson. I believe I brought it up on the Much Afraid episode.
You did.
I just need you to take a second and explain to me how in 5 years of this show, we have covered DC Talk 4 times, Newsboys 3 times, Jars of Clay twice, and this is only the second time we're talking about Me Without You.
Wow.
It's true.
Right? That's my reaction, Mike.
Well, you did Catch for Us the Foxes with Mason, right?
Yes.
Am I doing Mason?
And that was
And then
it.
you did me.
That was it.
You did me.
Yeah,
second.
Mike's half of an episode. Like that. That's
But I hear what you're saying.
That's
Album
like a full Me Without You
episode.
episode talking to Mike, right?
An album specific episode.
Yeah.
I'm going to come to Josh's defense.
Oh,
Sorry.
For a moment.
Thank you, TJ.
So, in a very similar fashion to how I've described to you guys that a lot of my favorite albums, I don't listen to them very often.
right.
I think Josh's whole concept here, his philosophy is to savor the really good albums and not just rush through them, right? We're not trying to binge watch Me Without You episodes on CJN. We're trying to like take it a week at a time, a month at a time, a year maybe at a time with these
but
quality works.
No, your system's
That's
flawed.
my perspective.
Your system's
That's
flawed
my perspective.
because we covered every single As Cities Burn album
They
like
only had
in a
4.
row.
They
Shit.
only had 4. So
Well,
it's
I'm
different
just-
when you got 7.
You're right. I
Yeah,
didn't think about that.
that's right.
Okay.
Anyway,
Why did-
all
that's
of this
fine.
to say,
Whose
as the
idea?
as the only true real Me Without You fan, Mike, I'm so excited that you're here tonight. And I'm so sorry it's taken this long to get you back on the show.
That's all good. By the way, the artwork was from 78, 81, and 2015.
Okay.
Wow.
Hey,
I do see that on the back there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the art.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the print file right now.
great.
Okay, I want to open this up to everybody. Like, what is your history with this record? I know this is a wish list for TJ.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
I know Josh likes this record a lot. Mike, I'm not sure how you feel about it, but I would like to hear your perspective on
It's
it.
all business
Yeah.
for him. No pleasure.
It is number 1 or number 2 best Me Without You album
Wow.
easily.
Ooh.
It goes
What-
back
what-
and forth
what else is in
between
running
Catch
Okay.
and Pale Horses. I think that for me personally, when I listen to Me Without You, what I want to hear from the band is what those 2 records sound like.
Yeah.
I like a really sort of aggressive tone, a lot of guitars, not a lot of extra instrumentation or production, just kind of bare bones,
Yeah.
like 2 guitars, a bass and a drum, and a guy like shouting.
Yeah.
And I like some of the more in the Catch for the Foxes. I like the production, like the use of like goat toes or synth pads and stuff like that kind of help build tension. And I think, although there aren't synth pads on this record, like a lot of it is built through some of its technicality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the lyrics are incredibly dense, and some of the guitar parts are like handbraking. And I think that having songs that have lots of tension consistently is what I love about Me Without You. And I think that for my part in it, I was very intentionally pushing the band to have a more aggressive style and tone, specifically when it came to the way that Aaron delivered his lyrics or what he sang about. I was encouraging it. I was like, I can't control it very much, but if there was ever a question, it's like, yes. And one of the things was, do not put an acoustic guitar on this record. I don't want to hear a single. We kept
they got
Chapel
one on
Cross
there.
Towns. We kept Chapel Cross Towns off the album because it was predominantly acoustic. Now, Magic Lantern Days has acoustic on it, and that was the caveat. Things like that were just like very specific. Like, we want loud.
Yeah.
We want all the things that make Me Without You, that were playing into Me Without You's advantage when they were sort of ascending. And this was sort of, I see this as like a second ascension. Like 10 Stories is more like sort of, we're like resetting the space a little bit. And this is like, we found our footing again.
Yeah.
Like, we're officially 5 members again for the first time in two album cycles. And like, we're going to bring it. And there's like this idea that like, we don't have to play soft. I think we just, we can go hard.
Yeah.
And that can be a lot of fun, and hopefully, and part of it's also like this idea, like, we know the band knows they're good at it, but also we know that like this is around the time where there's like this punk and emo revival. And so there's something really special and significant about that, where it's like the band is coming in to kind of like stake their claim as like the band that is still around, that is still doing the thing that has now come around for its second wave.
Right.
And so I love that. I love the energy around this record in general. And I'll just add this one part too. Like, it's my favorite Me Without You record that I've worked on. And I think the reason that I can't say that about Catch, because I didn't work on that album. I toured in the interim between Catch and Brother Sister when I first came on. So this one feels personal to me, whereas Catch vs. the Foxes feels like very nostalgic and detached. And also, Pale Horses, Catch is also like not harbinger, but maybe not like a place setter, maybe in some ways, for the things that I really value about the band. So,
yeah. I love.
So those were my two favorites.
Yeah.
But I personally, this is the one this feels like something that was really special that came from my time with them.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love that.
Knowing that makes me just like extra stoked that you were there for it, like just considering how it might have turned out otherwise, like, and makes me extra pumped that you're here to talk about this album.
Yeah, I'm very stoked about this album.
Yeah,
that's really exciting.
TJ, I want to hear about you. I know we kind of started off the year a little rough for TJ Brain. With some of the records we covered. I'm looking at you, Passion of the Christ, songs, and Jars of Clay's Much Afraid. But
and even John Foreman Winter. EP.
Yeah. But Josh was right.
Throws.
I will give him that.
Totally.
He did say that by the middle of the year, we'd have some like
things
real...
we're gonna start turning up TJ,
Yeah.
And they are.
Let's go.
So
take it to 11.
I want to talk about your relationship with this record.
Yeah, I think I gotta agree with Mike. It waffles between Brother Sister, actually, as my number one, quite frequently. It's more recently, it's been in the number one spot pretty like firmly in the last handful of years. But also that could be because, to your point earlier, Kylan, we just haven't covered Me Without You very much, and y'all know I don't like to oversaturate. So I haven't been listening to Brother Sister as much. So maybe that could change down the road. But right now, Pale Horses is like pretty firmly in the top spot. So it's a big one. It hit at the right time. The themes and the personal tone of it, and we'll get into that. But and the sonic kind of collage that this album has, all of those things combined really hit for me in 2015 when it came out, for reasons that I'll mention as we go through it. But yeah, it resonated quite a bit for me. I think like 10 Stories was really cool, but just like I wasn't quite on the same wavelength as that album when it came out. It was one that kind of grew on me later. And It's All Crazy was like this really unique thing. We talked about it, I think, in Mike's interview a good bit, so I won't belabor that. But this album was such a return to form in some ways, but also like exploring new things, that it like hit me squarely in the right spot for like my sonic pleasure centers of my brain. I was just like, yes, this is objectively exactly what they needed to do for their next iteration. Yeah, I don't know. I connected a lot with what Aaron is kind of wrestling with and wading through on this one. So it was huge, man. And yeah, the artwork too is awesome. I know we've touched on that, but it was a little bit of a departure from some of the more, there was like more color represented, right, in the previous artwork. Obviously, it's part of the theme.
It was all painted. It was all basically all oil and acrylic. Yeah.
Right. So that was a cool, like, noticeable shift. And I think all of those reasons made it stick out to me. I listened to it on a road trip up to Portland from Dallas with friend of the show, John Cannon. So that was kind of like locked in my mind as like a road trip album too. Nice. So that was cool. I could go on, but I won't.
Okay. All right.
You can go on for the rest of the episode.
I'm good.
That's true. Okay. Well, I don't know what we're gonna do with Josh and TJ gone. I need you guys to stick around for a little bit. Josh, I want to talk about your relationship with this. You and I, just in our day-to-day lives, talk about music a lot. For some reason in my mind, this feels like a relatively big record for you, but also one that we haven't talked about.
So
that's interesting. I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little embarrassed that for a while I was just a brother sister guy. That's all I listened to, and I loved that record. But like, I didn't really dive much into. I think I remember when Never 10 Stories and this record came out. I like listened to it a little bit when it came out, but it wasn't ever something that I was like listening to like a ton. And I do remember we went to go. Kylan, we were hanging out, and they were playing at Club Dada for this tour, and we were like, "Oh, let's go see Me Without You." But then it was like sold out, so then we just went and like hung out in Deep Elm. But so we almost saw this tour together, but
that show sold out.
It was sold out.
I was at that show.
Club Dada's pretty small.
I was at that show.
I know this.
Really?
Hey, listen, you don't got to remind me.
Well,
we used to sell 900 tickets in that market, and then like at some point it was like, hey, sorry, now you play. Now it's like 350.
Right.
It's like, wow.
But I gotta say, as far as like quality goes, that show was a banger. And
that
room
seems like a
was
great place to see Me Without
fire.
You, though. Yeah.
That's cool.
That's cooler than seeing them at House of Blues, which I've seen. Like, that's cool too. But
I'm glad you got to see that show, TJ. And
yeah, me too.
Kyle and I were just walking around outside,
probably got
like
pizza and just fucking hung out. Like, I don't know.
Man, if only Mike could have got us on the guest list.
I know.
Sorry, guys.
Retroactively.
Yeah, it did sell out, and it was 400 tickets.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
with a door gross of $6,624.
Did you find the email for that?
Yeah, did you? Okay, I want to talk about the emails. Yeah, what are you
not an email.
looking at?
I brought my settlement sheet up from Club Dada. That was on June 30th.
Wow.
This is why we brought you on the show. This is what we're here for.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, to continue, I didn't get into this record until a little less than 2 years later, when I took my then girlfriend, now wife, to go see Me Without You for her first time for the Turnover and Circa tour in February 2017.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Where was that?
all William bands.
Yeah, where was that?
I went to San Antonio for that show.
Oh,
I don't think you
San
played
Antonio.
Dallas. Yeah. So Yeah, we had to drive all the way there for that. But so I got into this record then.
At the Alamo City Music Hall.
That's right. Yeah, it was outside in February. It was warm in February too.
Impeccable, Mike.
I know. He's probably got the the reconcile sheet for that too.
Well, I mean, I can tell you, it was a Circa Survive show on Letting Go. It sold out, right?
Yeah.
So it was. I think they sold 3,200 tickets. You know, it was crazy.
It was a lot of people there. It was a lot of people there. But yeah,
we made $1,800. We made $1,805 in merchandise.
Wow.
Is that a good night or
no? I wouldn't consider that. I would not consider that a good night. I would not consider that a good night.
That's great. Yeah, so that's kind of my experience with this record. But otherwise, getting into this record the year that we then got engaged and married. So I mean, a lot of like really, and this is a big record for my wife as well. So a lot of fun memories, and it makes me think of her. And so getting to see Me Without You twice this year, one when we were engaged and one when we were just dating. So it was a lot of fun. So a lot of fun memories with this record, and then just Me Without You in general.
Sweet.
Very cool.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, before we finish this little part A, Mike, I have a question for you. Something I often like to ask people, well, I say often, every time I like to ask people that are involved with the band when they're on covering a record. I want to ask about your headspace going into recording this record. Like, what were you feeling? What were you expecting starting the process of recording this album?
Well, the way that it typically, I think they recorded the record in 2014, and we're writing that whole summer. So summer 14 was all just Me Without You writing, and they wrote at I forget if this record was written in Mike's basement on Pine Street, or if it was written in Ricky's loft out in Germantown. I can't remember. But the guys were, they'll get together and they'll just record and write, and people bring songs and blah, blah, blah. So you start to get an idea I think there was a clear idea that this is going to be a more kind of pumped up record. And then when the ideas start coming in, you're kind of like, okay, this is what's happening. You get a sense that this is going to be more of a banger. Boy, I really have to refresh my memory here. I'm asking myself this question. I feel like there had been some interpersonal turmoil in 14. It wasn't quite clear how, and Aaron had moved away, I believe. He wasn't even in Philadelphia anymore. And I could be wrong on that too. I'm really having a hard time. I should have pieced this all together. Maybe he was here. I think he was in Philadelphia still. I could be wrong.
Well, I feel like there are a lot of references to Idaho at this point. Was he?
Oh, there are.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are. Thank you.
So,
I really should have brushed up on this. The time and place of everything. I forget when Aaron moved out to Idaho. And there's more of that on Untitled too. So yeah, regardless of where Aaron was living, there was some interpersonal stuff. There was a question of whether or not Aaron was even going to write lyrics for it. Well, guys were just piling on music. I mean, this has got to be, these last two records, Pale Horses and Untitled, are easily the most prolific of the band's career.
Yeah, there's EPs that y'all released.
That's why there's EPs that are attached to these records, because there's so much good and there's also a financial incentive to release as much material as you possibly can. We would try to do the deluxe edition. So there's all this stuff that we're always trying to bring together. And on 10 Stories, it was we had 2 songs that were left over. All right, put them on a 7-inch. This time it was there's more. There's actually 4 or 5 songs, and then we can add extra stuff.
Which is
on.
crazy.
Yeah.
Because I remember reading something about an interview where Aaron said something about he was in the middle of writing his dissertation at the time.
That sounds right.
He was like,
yeah.
I wasn't necessarily ready to be writing lyrics for an entire album.
Yeah.
But the guys had the music ready and they just sent it to me, and it was okay, I guess I have to write.
Yeah, I can remember that when it was Aaron's turn up, and just as a refresher, the band writes independent of Aaron.
Right.
All instrumental tracks. And then they kind of maybe they have like this trove of like 15, 20 songs, and then some of them are ideas that get attached to other ideas, some of them are totally failed, and they kind of whittle it down to like, these are the songs we want to bring into the studio, and then it's Aaron's job to write those. And in this case, there was probably 14 songs, let's say. I can remember being pumped on everything that was written, and you're just like, there's no room here for him to like what, where's he going to find room to like sing quietly over this stuff? Like, these aren't the somber tracks, there's none of that. And we're working with Will Yip, so we're going to have a big rock sound, so it's kind of inevitable going into it. But I was so stoked on the demos that were coming in, and then once Aaron was actually able to muster up writing lyrics and putting them to shouting them and putting melody to them, and like really completing them, then it was just like, every time that a mix came in, it was like Christmas. It really was. It was. There's nothing better, there's nothing more inspiring than when it's like the picture starts to become more and more into focus, right? And as more and more stuff came in, it just got more and more exciting to be like, this is going to be a classic Me Without You album. And sure enough, I think that's exactly how it turned out. Yeah, I remember Aaron, this is probably the most I ever talked to him in this record about lyrics or the process of lyric writing. He's very kind of closed off about that stuff traditionally. And I think that I had matured more as a manager, and even more so as his friend, and maybe somewhat of a confidant, somewhat of a creative trustee. And him just being like, this is, the weight of it is like so immense, because he has to find the song, figure out the song, then he starts writing lyrics, and then like lyrics he writes in like patches. I don't know if I mentioned this on the last part. He's got an idea over here, he's got an idea over there, and then his job is trying to like bring all the ideas together and then figure out how they can all like connect.
How to like,
and that's kind of the writing process, and carve that into a song and do it 11 times successfully.
Right.
And I think that's a pretty tall task when you consider it.
100%.
So yes, to answer the question, I was very excited about this album.
Sweet.
Very, very excited.
Well, we're excited to dig into it. So what we're going to do right now is take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to get the party started by going track by track into Pale Horses by Me Without You. So, Josh, you're pretty Killers agnostic, right?
Well, I wasn't going to say it on mic, but I kind of am.
I know, but I'm forcing you
I like some of their stuff, I'm not fully into Killers, but I like a little bit here and there.
I'll accept that, but only because it's a better position than Kylan revealed his position to be on this episode, which is that Brandon Flowers got bored and
he did.
What did you say?
He did.
He like lost
bored.
his hunger.
He did.
After
I will
Hot Fuss.
stand by that. Yes.
But regardless, whether you think Imploding the Mirage is a masterwork, or Battleborn might arguably be the Killers' best album, or if you think Hot Fuss is when they peaked, regardless, it doesn't matter, because you can get Imploding the Mirage on vinyl at Collide Records right now. You can also get Hot Fuss 180 gram, y'all, on Collide Records right now. Unfortunately, you can only get the CD of Battleborn, but I had that CD. I don't know where it went. Josh probably stole it from me, but I had it at one point, and it sounded great. So, it's a UK pressing on Collide Records. I don't know what that means, but I feel like it's going to sound awesome. The point is, a lot of their discography is available. And not only that, but if you throw in the promo code Church Jams now on your first order from Collide Records, you'll get 20% off on any of that. You could bundle it. You could just decide, you know what, I'm going all in on the Killers, right? And prove Kylan wrong, that the whole discography is awesome. You could also prove Josh wrong, that being Killers agnostic is just just a bad choice.
Not a way to be. Yeah, you know what? You know what, Josh?
no one
you
likes
have
a
the
fence
worst
sitter.
opinion
Yeah, I'm just
of all of us.
I don't care either way.
You know what, Kyle and I never mind. I changed my mind. You're right.
Right?
Josh is the real
ultimately
villain
has
here.
the worst opinion on the killers
I don't
of
think
all of
anything
us.
is bad.
Just no opinion.
I
Somehow
have an
that's
opinion.
worse.
I like more of their songs than I dislike them.
Nope, that's
Okay.
just wrong. That's just
Yeah.
wrong. Okay, so to prove Josh wrong,
Yeah.
go to
You know what would-
colliderecords.com.
You know what would
buy
really prove me wrong is this Pressure Machine deluxe vinyl box set that
okay,
they have.
Pressure
Oh,
Machine
yeah, I
is
didn't-
pretty great.
I didn't mention that.
Oh, you mean
Yeah,
Nebraska
it is pretty
2.0?
Yep.
Okay.
That is what we mean.
Yep.
So see, you should like them
I mean,
as a boss fan. Like,
yeah,
you should
I
really
know what he's
just
doing
make the
whole
leap.
time. But anyways, I want to say that vinyl, that box set, it's a pretty hefty box set. But you put in Church Jams Now, 20% off of that sucker. That's like it's $83 right now. 20% off that, you're looking in the 60s. That's easy money for if you're a
Nice.
massive Killer fan,
Easy money.
Killers fan that needs Pressure Machine deluxe vinyl box set.
Or
Yeah, and it's pretty
an
sweet.
anti-Josh fan who wants to prove that Josh has the worst opinion on
Either
this
way.
podcast regarding the killers. $60. Totally
$60.
worth it. All right.
Totally worth it.
colliderecords.com. Use promo code ChurchJamesNow for 20% off that purchase. Let's get back to the show. Welcome back to Church James Now. I hope you enjoyed those ads as much as we enjoyed making them. I'm so curious what they're going to be at this point.
Probably more killers at this point, just to honor.
Yeah, I think it's got to be.
How could we not? You know?
Gotta sell those. They need help.
Yeah,
You gotta sell the
Yeah,
killer
really
Sheridan
hurting.
Flowers. He's having a rough time.
He's
out there.
hurting. He's hurting.
Yeah. He didn't win, just win a global music award or something.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, some kind of illustrious award. I saw him at a ceremony.
So before we dive in track by track, do we have any general thoughts about the album Pale Horses? We already talked about the artwork a little bit.
We talked about the dates of the artwork.
Yeah,
True.
specifically
We talked about the dates.
Yeah.
Very important.
The image on the front cover apparently
Yeah.
is a Birdman. Okay, this is
Really?
Vasily's description is he's a
Go on.
Birdman holding the head of John the Baptist.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no
Unbeknownst
way.
to us, Aaron and I just thought it looked cool.
It does look
Right?
cool.
It looks very cool.
Is this
And-
the head of John the
Holding the
Baptist?
head of John.
That's
Which-
so.
which
The,
one's-
you see the thing in the
This guy's
bottom corner there.
Birdman.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the Birdman, and then
this is-
It's in the
those like
foreground.
little nodules are his hand, and he's holding
Yeah,
the
his
hair
hands,
of
right.
John the Baptist.
Yeah, that eyes, nose. Okay.
Yeah, that's
So
what
who's
that
the
is.
guy with the heart
The hole in
torn
his
out
chest?
or whatever?
Yeah,
No,
this guy.
I have no idea who's the figure floating above. No idea.
We
You know,
don't
but it's an emotionally impressionistic piece where you look at it and it evokes some sort of whimsy and dread. I think
Yeah.
there's
I
something very
think so.
macabre about it, right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of what we wanted to. This record, we wanted this darker tone without it being like feeling like it's overly grotesque. You know, it is
Right.
grotesque. It's got body horror on it.
Yeah, when you guys are getting
Yeah.
going in to get the artwork, do y'all just like flip through Vasily's work, or do you go
Literally.
to him like, "Of this is kind of what we're looking for. Do you have anything that matches this? Like, how much of it is either?
It
one?
is the first.
The first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was
Find shit that looks cool.
kind of. I wish I was going back and I was looking at an old email today being like, well, one of the things that I know that happens is that everyone kind of does it. Everyone kind of goes on
Yeah.
there and they like pick out stuff they like. I find something that I like that feels that matches the tone or whatever. Aaron finds something. I forget how we landed on these images. If it was myself or Aaron, but it was one of the two of us. And then we brought that to Vasily and being like, we like this. And then he's like, do you want to develop more stuff around it? And then he started drawing more stuff around it. So if you go into like the gatefold,
Oh, cool.
you can see that's all the 2015 stuff. He's drawing that like that week.
Oh, wow.
Based
And
on-
and then he drew us through the triple gatefold, or if you just look at the interior of It's a bifold on the standard editions. It's a gatefold it's a triple gatefold on the deluxe. He drew them all as separate pieces. Like there were three separate pieces, and then Charlie combined them. Charlie Wagers combined them all together into a single sort of cohesive like mural.
Oh, wow.
That we used. And so that, and there's an interesting thing that happened in that situation where there's not a lot of discussion about artwork amongst the band. There's discussion amongst the artwork between myself, Aaron, and Vasily specifically. And really it's just like, we never come to an issue. But when Vasily started drawing the other images, the 2015 images, the adaptations that maybe more tied into the lyrical content, the other guys in the band were like, this is awesome. We like this more than the 78 one. And Aaron and I were mortified. Like backroom deals started going on. Like, who can we like get to like, because it's mewithoutYou is not a democracy. It's consensus based upon who cares the most. And so we had to like kind of, I'll talk to Ricky and you talk to Greg, you talk to your brother. Okay. And I'll talk to Beaver, and like, we'll kind of like do our thing. And like, you see if you can get someone over. And then once you can kind of get someone on your side, then you can write that big long email that has like this defense of why you think that this one works the best. And then Aaron gets to chime in. And then the third person that you got will also, I mean, it was the most political it had ever been.
I was going to say, okay,
it has never been like that.
I now,
with artwork.
like, I want like a full like podcast series about the politics of album art. Like this is fascinating.
Yeah, I mean that was it. I mean, to be honest, like everything else has been pretty straightforward. It's kind of like what Aaron likes, or if I like it and Aaron likes it, then that's what goes. Or if I, there's always a discussion. But this was the one I feel like we tried to be the most like, I don't know if egalitarian is the right word, like about it. And we're like, oh no, this is backfiring. We should never have let these other people like, yeah, we had all these different options. There was like option F, Aaron could tell you which option letter it was, but they all had names like option F, option G. And
crazy.
Yeah, and it was just like very, to feel like you could loot when you look at that image, and I think Aaron and I felt that the image that is the cover was like when it felt like it was like, oh no, we may have to concede or like be like the jerks that are just like no.
Right.
And then like power starts to sway, and then you're like, that's a whole nest of Gundarks,
Yeah.
So when Vasily was doing the 2015 artwork, though, had Aaron shared or like given him like anything that he like worked into it, like that kind of correlates to the lyrics? Because there is a hen, there's a wolf.
Yes.
Like, so it's like, is he kind of going off of some of the lyrical prompts?
He is. Yes. Okay. I mean, there's like, that's cool. That's the 2015 stuff. That's like post, I think, like I said, that's 2015. So like lyrics have been written, like the record is being mixed. Like, I think, like by the time, I just saw this out. He sent us rainbow signs, like his first like vocal take on Thanksgiving evening, in 2014. So the record was like done. And that was like the last one to come through. Burnham Wood and Rainbow Sign. So the last ones will come through. And so at that point, we know what the lyrical content is. And then we start moving into like, what does the album look like right after that? So like January, February, March is all just like artwork.
Right.
Trying to figure it out.
So if Aaron was already in Idaho at this point, where did he do all of these vocal?
My guess is that he's not in Idaho.
Okay.
My guess is that he's not. I was married in 2014 and he drove to my wedding, which was in Ohio.
Okay.
And so I don't think he was just visiting. That's my memory of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, it wasn't until after that, yeah. He just kind of like slowly floated out there. It was just like,
I love that.
Just lived there suddenly. It was never felt like there was no proclamation of I'm moving. It was just like, it's just, you go to visit your girlfriend's or your wife's family enough, and then suddenly you're just you're living at their house, and then
Yep.
you're building your own home, and I guess you're getting a job there, and it just happens.
I love that. All right. Well, let's go ahead and start with track 1, Pale Horse. As the opening track guy, I love this. It's so good. It's so good. Like it instantly, to me, like it evokes a lot of the sort of like transition moments on Brother Sister, like the Spider songs, and then a lot of stuff on It's All Crazy. But there's something about it that feels like this almost feels like a closing track in a lot of ways, which is why I kind of love it as an opening track. Because it feels almost like a post-mortem on the entire record. And then you sort of like go back and like get to this point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it comes full circle.
Yeah, it does. It similarly does in the same way that Messes of Men and In a Sweater Poorly Knit also sort of echo each other.
Right.
This does. Pale Horse does exactly that with Rainbow Signs.
Yeah.
Where there's a callback lyrically and thematically. It kind of ties everything up in a nice little bow.
Yeah. And makes it really like cyclical.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
One of the things I think that this band is able to do really well is strike very certain, like a certain tone. Like this is written as a intro track. Like there was never any, when the band goes into it, the sequencing is already in their mind. Like they know the record's gonna have a shape. So how does it start? How does it finish? Yeah, very intentionally.
As in when
track.
the guys send Aaron
pre-vocals
their tracks and they whittle down
I think
the album, they already know the sequencing at that point based on the sonics.
Well, so there's suggested, I was just looking at this earlier, Greg put together an early sequence of it for people to listen through, just to kind of get an understanding of where it's going to go. Mm-hmm. And boy, where the heck did it go? Everyone agreed it was going to be Pale Horse. And then these are all going to be weird names. And then it went into Watermelon Ascot, and then D minor, and then into Mexican War, right? And then from there, it was like we knew that Rainbow Signs was going to be the last track, but everything in between was kind of like, well, where does Blue Hen go? I think most people felt like Blue Hen is going to start the second side, because it just kind of comes in with that big guitar.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like an intention, and then it kind of gets mixed around in there. So it's in the same way, like your mind, in the same way that your mind reads words. It's like you read like the first letter,
the first and the
last letter, and then everything can be jumbled up in the middle, and it still like reads as a word.
Oh, I love
because your mind is connecting.
That's
you're not actually reading it through its vowels. You're just looking for signifiers, and so like that's kind of what was. Mm-hmm. I'm looking here. This is September 21, 2014. Greg suggesting begin with Pale Horse, end with Rainbow Signs. And so that's very much like part of the DNA of the album. Like that Rainbow Signs was called Log Splitter. We knew it was going to be the last track. Like there's never really a doubt at that point. And Pale Horse, aka Big House, was always designed to be like this sort of like slow fade. It's this like into the record itself. Something pensive.
Good. That was my question. And I'm going to want to know all the working titles as we go through the songs.
Oh, yes, and I will give them all to you, because I love
thank you.
Without You working titles.
Working titles, yeah. So
yeah, they're the best. I like lyrically, too, that it not only sets a tone for the album, it also tells us kind of where Aaron is, and it's a very self-aware song. It's very meta, right? It's about itself. It's about the album. It's apocalypse as metaphor and literal event. Like, it's all these things. Like, I mean, even just the one iteration of that line, sideshow words, if the songs don't mind, right? Like, he's anthropomorphizing the songs. Like, he's like,
I love him.
Like, I get part of it is like him saying, like, the work that the guys put in on the musical side. Like, I get that that's part of what's happening, but I feel like he's also like talking to the music. He's talking to the songs themselves and like almost apologizing for deciding to write words and sing words on them.
Yes,
because it's probably his most vulnerable album, right? I mean, at least at that time, it probably was his most direct, his most like, least shrouded in characterization, right? It's not 10 stories. We don't have the animals that he's ascribing belief systems to.
Totally.
He's coming out like kind of more off the cuff and a little more hard on sleeve and saying like, I mean, he's still all over the place and it's still like layered in subtext and metaphor. But for Aaron, at least, it's the most like vulnerable. And right off the bat, he's still got his like, characteristic, charming, like self-deprecation and self-doubt, but he's also got some like sense of humor and a level of self-awareness, all wrapped up in like Apocalypse. And I just love that he does all of that so economically, but also so cryptically, but also you can tell it's like the most vulnerable he's ever been. Somehow in one track, he's able to accomplish all of that in one fell swoop.
Yeah. I love the fact that he refers to the band as the Boys.
The Boys, yeah.
Which is a bit, which is how we kind of refer to ourselves as the Boys. It is the camaraderie. If you feel I personally, when I hear that, if the boys don't mind, it's just like, I feel the camaraderie. I feel the love. I feel the sweetness in that. Yeah. It makes me think of my friends, and our good times. Yeah. I love this song. Funny thing about this song too is that it's much longer because it kind of fades into Watermelon Asset. So like the actual track is probably, I don't know, 4 minutes long. I'd say 3.5 minutes long. And you were just kind of like goes off, right? But then when you sequence it, you kind of like fade it out, cut it down, make it so there has some like trajectory to it. But there you can find that version of it on the original pressing of the CD because we sent the wrong files, or the wrong files were printed by Run for Cover. So we had 10,000 records made, 10,000, which is a lot of CDs. Which I don't know why they made that many CDs. They made something like 10,000 CDs that all of the CDs had to get taken out of and replaced. But they literally went to stores, and I had UPS drop it off at my house. All these boxes, like a day before we're going to go on tour in 2015. And I went out to dinner with my wife to go get sushi. And I get a call. Greg had stopped by to pick up the CD. I got a call from Greg at the sushi dinner being like, he called and I was like, send a voicemail. He called again. I was like, something's up.
Oh no.
And he's like, yo, this isn't sequenced right at all. Like Pale Horses is like 5 minutes long, or Pale Horses is 5 minutes long. I was like, what do you mean? And I had to he's like, yeah, everything has like weird gaps in between them. There's no flow to the record.
Oh no.
So then I had to finish. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go have sushi dinner. And then I'm going to jump on the phone with Run for Cover Records and figure out what the heck happened.
Right. So,
wow.
What did happen?
We replaced all the CDs.
You replaced it? Okay.
Yeah, we had to send out information everything that was in warehouse could be fixed. Everything that went to record stores, we sent all the record stores a printout to be like, this record is not
oh wow
sequenced correctly. We apologize.
Okay, but
now it's super
crazy
limited edition.
Yeah, that's stuff now. That's the thing is okay.
That's what everyone says. That's what everyone says. The silver lining, and it's like,
well, yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Like Mike, how do you feel about that now? Because for me,
he planned it. It was just a big publicity stunt.
As that we told nobody about,
right? But Me Without You is very much like the type of band where there is a very specific fan base that I think almost revels in having those sort of exclusive things like that. So yeah. I'm curious how you feel about it now. Like, are you still just like so frustrated? And you're
I'm
like,
not
you
into
fucked
it
up my
because I feel
sushi dinner?
no. I mean, yeah, it was a miscommunication. Reflecting upon that now, there's two things that I think of. One is my ability to not freak out. My dad said my son was in the hospital for I can't remember what. Oh, like going up to Christmas. Like my wife was my son was in the hospital Christmas Eve with I don't even remember low oxygen or whatever. What was it, Brett? RSV was my wife. Yeah, so RSV. Okay,
RSV is no
and
joke.
so we're in the hospital, and I was just like, it sucks. It's Christmas time. Like, kids miserable, your wife's miserable, families are in town, and I just was like, not stressed about it. I don't know why. And I went and I visited with my dad, and he was just like, yeah, well, you don't seem to really stress. You don't really seem to sweat the big stuff. I was like, interesting, because I really sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like things that are just like feel like they're out of your control, it's like I kind of am a little more humored in those ways.
Right.
I'm sure I do have a breaking point, but I generally keep a cooler head in those situations. The other part of so that's something that reveals about me because in that situation I'm not like yelling on the phone, but I am demanding a solution,
Right.
But because I want to find it, it's important to me. I don't know how it happened. The other part of it is that just like it feels like this is a personal failure of mine, which is an artistic failure of mine, where I tend to move too quickly and not proof enough, right? So I'm not double checking everything because so many things can go wrong, and I see it reflected in a lot of even my vinyl releases where it's like, yeah, they have a lot of pieces, and there's only like. I try and keep tabs on every single thing. And I try to get approval before anything gets printed, and we proof and we proof and we proof and we proof. And yet something still like falls to the crack. And I just want to have perfect releases. We're getting better, but like stuff still happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just relying on so many different people, and I'm just a guy on a computer. I'm not in the plant. I'm not at the printing press making sure that I can't be there. Right. I have to be, so I have to. Anyway, my point is that like I see that as just like a pattern I'm not proud of, but also a personality trait that I'm proud of, I guess.
Yeah,
in some way.
Yeah.
At least makes me unique.
I love that.
Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, and you caught it, right? It would have been a very different thing if like nobody caught it and they just all went out with no one's knowledge
forever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Just yeah.
And then you just like randomly find on Reddit like there's like 1,000 people that are mad because
there's
no one talked about it
out there. That's like,
yeah, because it's like there's no vibe. There's no vibe on this record. Exactly.
Right.
No pace.
Gentlemen, let's move on to track number 2, Watermelon Ascot.
All right, so if Pale Horse set the stage, now we're burning it down already. Track 2, but we're burning it down, not messing around, man.
Yeah, this is 100%. We didn't start the fire, Billy Joel.
Yeah,
that's what this is.
This is Me Without You's We Didn't Start the Fire. Yes,
100%. Yeah, Aaron is a massive Billy Joel fan, and all these sort of like seemingly non sequiturs and sort of, I don't even know how you want to put them. The language is just so visual and nonsensical, but like
it's crazy.
It's evoking something chaotic, right? It's Ayatollah Cola Wars. I can't take it anymore. Like it's that level of like non sequitur, right?
Yeah, and the Dr. Bronner's is my favorite.
Yes,
that's like my favorite reference.
Like the fact that he does a 180 from like some obscure prohibition vigilante named Carrie Nation that I had never heard of until this song.
Really? I don't even know that.
Yeah, she was apparently famous for like taking a hatchet to different establishments that sold alcohol during Prohibition.
That sounds very much like Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he saw her as a hero, and he was like, she is going to get into this word collage of my song. And then
collage,
it jumps
that's a
right
much
to
better word.
Dr. Bronner's, like, which is insane.
Dr. Bronner's, okay, like, specifically that line, like, it's one of my favorites throughout all of Aaron's lyricism, because he like, so many of his lyrics are, like, so specific and, like, esoteric, and
Mhm.
I feel like, okay, I'm not familiar enough with, like Russian literature from the 19th century, or, like, you know, Jewish Gnosticism. It's like, oh, this is something that I understand. Like, I get this. And so, like as a listener, it does, like
It
as
clicks.
a dumb listener, it brings you in a way that,
Yeah.
oh, hey, I get that reference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then
I
it's
think
also
really
there
neat.
with Carrie Nation, right?
Yes,
Where it's
exactly,
like,
which I had no
Right.
idea. Thank you.
I
Keith.
assumed Carrie Nation meant like Sissy Spacek and Carrie. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a nation, like, just
wow.
going red. Like, I don't know, just an unleashing sort of their metaphysical
Right. Yeah.
anger
No,
on the
no, for
world.
sure.
Carrie
Right.
Nation. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's always what I
No,
think of.
there's
That's awesome.
it's just it's so layered,
Mm.
and
There's a reference to buried beds. There's a reference to buried
yes.
beds in there.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
the eighth straight Buffalo show, which is the sentence Buffalo, 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 Buffalo.
Oh, that one, yeah.
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 Just
Lots of good
bananas.
Oh gosh.
Lots
I didn't
of good
even know
stuff.
that sentence was a thing again until
Yes.
this song.
Yes.
Like, I did so much research when this album first came out, and then now again for this episode.
Yeah.
Oh man, do you know why REM is crossed out in the lyrics, Mike?
Let me
I
go
read
look.
I read something
Oh,
about,
I'm sure it's also End of the World. It's also End of the World as we know it.
okay.
That was a
I
lot
mean,
of
it's Billy Joel.
theories.
It's End of the World. It's
It's
these are
right
two
in
of
the
Aaron's
song.
favorites, and I
Okay,
feel like
okay.
Right.
this is him sort of inserting that thing into the pantheon. Let me see if I can
Right,
pull up
it's
mine.
mewithoutYou's version of that, and like kind of
Yeah,
honoring
exactly.
the legacy of the weird word collage song. That's just
Exactly.
nonsense.
Okay, nice.
But also like supports the themes that he's I think covering on this album.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Weirdly. Yeah, the part about cleaners of a blank slate, metamorphic, straight lace, Latter Day Saint face, speeded up a notch.
Beat it up a notch.
Somebody was
That's
like,
REM. That's
from
REM.
REM. Yeah.
That's REM right
And
there.
like,
Yeah.
but it also like makes a point about like how can we get cleaner than squeaky clean, kind of like like a little bit of a critique on certain like religious communities. And then he talks about General Custer and the CIA, and presumably himself. Apparently, the counter-terror prophet in the Watermelon Ascot is Aaron.
No, it's his dad.
Okay,
It's his dad.
never mind.
Yeah.
I was like,
so his
that's
dad,
the only
his dad,
thing that I could come up with. I'm so glad to have that.
And then Water of a Joke, CIA. Counter-terror prophet in a watermelon ascot.
Ascot,
So I was asked about that, I think, specifically, and Aaron told me that an image of his father who suffered from
Amazing.
his schizophrenic, it was paranoid schizophrenic. And so he always thought that like George Bush was like after him, right? And then Obama later, right? So like that there'd be Blackhawks outside his house in Upper Darby, like coming for him. And like, you get phone calls from Elliot where he's like upset about this, right? And so like I feel like there was this sense that like his dad maybe in some sort of fantastical world in his brain is like an enemy of the state, and the state is the terrorist, and like so he's like he's some sort of like operative that's
right.
under duress from the government. And then putting the watermelon ascot on him, I think is just like a way to sort of make it funny.
Yeah.
Cute and funny. Yeah, totally.
Like that, I heard it described as like, I just pictured Elle like wearing a watermelon ascot. Like, I don't know. I was just like, oh, okay.
Incredible.
Yeah. So this song really struck me as like, this album is coming in post It's All Crazy. Like I feel like Aaron on that record sort of learned a lot of like storytelling, like narrative elements, and a way to sort of like rhyme songs, and so this one felt like it was such a piece with that because it like all of the lyrics were like rhymed in doublets. Like
Right.
it was just that was something that I hadn't heard a ton before. Like everything else before was like a lot of like stream of conscious,
line.
like more poetic, and this was, but the Billy Joel thing makes a ton of sense in terms of this. Like, okay, we're gonna like rhyme these two lines, rhyme these two lines, rhyme these two lines. We're gonna fit as many things as we can into this.
Yeah.
Well, what's so cool is that it doesn't feel like derivative or like ripping any of that off. It's like it's still so firmly planted in Me Without You sound and in his style as a writer that it just totally works. Like unless you break it down and analyze it like that and know that he's like sort of homaging, I would have just accepted it as like, oh no, this is just what Aaron's doing now, and it's like totally not inspired or riffing on anything.
I think
but it works
that's one of the things that's really interesting about Aaron is that as a lyricist is that he is so derivative.
Yeah.
But he's able to he's able to recontextualize it just enough that it feels wholly original. Yep. Right. And this is like a principle
that it's sitting inside the sounds that the band is making.
The band are making.
That makes
exactly.
Yeah.
Feel like it's
totally original.
Yeah. Totally. So yeah, I think he's always shifting of the context is also super important. And so, yeah, I think also too, like, End of the World as We Know It, and even We Didn't Start the Fire are both sort of like apocalyptic songs.
Right.
The songs about the end of the world or the end times or whatever. And this is kind of doing the same sort of work there. Or bringing, so, and that of course fits into the theme of the album as well.
Yeah, I love his also like his compound phrases that he just originates. Like, and he introduces the ideas, like sometimes cold turkey, but sometimes he'll set you up. So like in this song, for example, he has the blue ribbon pigs in a 4-H show. And you're like, okay, yeah, I see what you're doing there, Aaron. And then when he brings it up again, it's for behavior frontal lobe, a universal product code of iridescent Joseph Coat hallucination H show. Which is just a masterclass in
wild.
Like
he makes it work in the song, and he makes it work in the song. It's one thing to write that on the page and like have fun,
right? If he was just a beat poet, that would already be so impressive.
Oh man, but you guys are gonna. I'm gonna listen. I'm not. I don't know if you know this. I'm not like a big lyrics guy. I think I've said this to you guys before.
Yeah.
I have no clue what Aaron writes about. I just dig the way he sings it mostly.
Yeah.
Right. But you guys are going to make me feel like he's a genius now.
No, I mean, I think he kind of is.
I think he is.
He definitely
has to be a little bit.
He's
on
brilliant.
This record,
he's brilliant. He's brilliant.
Wild.
It feels weird to elevate your friends in a way that you're like,
for sure.
Yep.
Wait, hang on. Are you actually better than me? Are you actually like a singular special human being?
Right. But yeah, the thing about it is like it works so well with the music. And the music, like you were talking about, Mike, it just felt like there was a special sort of juice on this record. And I like that Aaron seems to sort of still be in the it's all crazy lyrical headspace, but musically everyone's going back to like the punk rock. Like there's a little bit more like minor.
Well, and even Aaron's delivery
kind of thing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Up, you know?
Yeah.
So like he's looking back to A to B and Kestrel Foxes a little bit with his vocal performance.
Mm-hmm.
But he's blending all of those other like parts of of his lyrical catalog, Kyle, to your point. Like, and it is really, really cool to see it all kind of coalescing together on this one. Good song.
The track title though.
Oh yes, thank you.
The demo title was Thunder Cage.
Thunder Cage.
Is there a story? Do we know anything about that?
Ricky just makes up stuff.
All right.
Ricky just he's a vibes. He's a vibes guy. He's just like Thunder Cage.
Just trust Ricky.
And the last part of it, which we didn't talk about, when it goes into the it's a Sacred Harp song,
Man.
Everlasting, the
Yeah.
hymn.
Mhm.
That was called
1800s, I think.
Enter Windjammer. So
Incredible.
it was called Thunder Cage Enter Windjammer. That was the title of it.
Sure.
This is wild.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. Track number 3, D minor.
A borrowed fern with a cigarette burn and a pawn shop ring in her hand. At the Idaho courts to affirm our divorce before the
Dude, talk about sequencing.
Yes. Oh, especially
Perfect transition.
you get the stick clicks for this song, but in the last song. So that's like a great transition there. Of course, D minor related to C minor, off brother sister.
Yep.
I love the guitar line, specifically on the left channel in the beginning in this verse. And like you were talking about earlier, Mike, of having Brandon in there, it's like it feels much more in line with that classic two guitar Me Without You, where they're doing kind of separate things that are uniquely their own, but also play off of each other and just
Exactly.
It's like
Call and
it's
response.
it's so cool having that dynamic of like having, and especially like I feel like I kind of can sometimes pick out like which one's Mike's parts, because I feel like Mike is pretty angular and rhythmic with a lot of his parts. So I was like, a lot of times I can be like, okay, I think this side is Mike and this side is either Chris or Brandon or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's just
exactly.
always cool how they mix so well.
Chris is always much more atmospheric.
Yep.
And Beaver, I feel like, is far more technical. I feel like he may have more notes going on in Beaver's part. I could be totally wrong. I tend to regard him as more of a prog mind in terms of his guitar styling.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh, is that the first Me Without You curse?
I think so.
Bastards.
Ooh,
Yeah.
those bastards.
Might be.
This is also my favorite song on the record.
Oh,
Hey.
It's a deep cut in my
I
opinion.
get
And
it.
it's a wildly underrated song and a fantastic song live.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Well, okay,
It's so
okay.
good live.
So the thing about this song to me, between the band and Aaron's delivery, within, I would say, like the last 10, 12 years, this song, I think, is what Max Bemis thinks that he's doing. He's failing fully, but this is what he thinks he is doing. Like this,
Interesting.
it's got a lot of the like punk rock edge that I think Say Anything is going for. Obviously, I think it's way more profound than writing a song from the perspective of your wife's vibrator or whatever the fuck Max is doing now.
That is not. I'm
No,
sorry.
that's real. That's real.
sorry
That's
to
real.
That's
admit
real.
it is
I'm
real.
so sorry,
Yeah.
Mike. That's what he's doing now.
On what album is that on?
The last one from last
is
year.
committed. Yeah, from last year.
Yep.
Yeah. This man is in his
Alright.
40s.
That they made with
writing-
Brad Wood too.
With
So,
Brad Wood.
Brad Wood had to sit through that.
Had to sit through a song that Max wrote called On Come as like a, I don't know. This is a conversation for another time.
I have no comment.
Yeah.
Me too, Mike.
I have too many comments.
Hey, Kylan.
What?
Did you know that Pepper and Dirks were two scientists who developed a method using a mirror and hidden room to project illusions for theaters in the 1800s? Because Aaron Weiss knew that,
I did, and
and he
I
sang
also
about it.
Oh, I also want to talk about the Danish cartoon reference.
I
in
knew
this
this would
song.
get you back on track.
I'm
so
sorry.
glad it worked.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
There's the carrot.
Thank you. Okay, do you guys know what Harmless as a Danish cartoon is
no.
Yeah.
in reference
Yes.
to?
Yes.
Oh, I don't.
Yes.
Oh,
Tell me,
Josh
Kylan.
doesn't.
I thought
Tell
that was
me-
one of the most obvious pop culture references that he's ever made, and
Yeah.
I thought
Well,
so.
aside from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nick Fury, we'll get there.
Oh,
It's
right.
fine.
Yeah, we cut. Well, we cut it. We cut it.
Oh, that's right.
I
That's
know.
right. Okay, so in 2005, there was a Danish newspaper that I cannot remember his name.
They did a it was Charlie Hebo.
Oh,
Hebdo.
yeah.
The name of the
Hebdo?
magazine.
Hebdo? Yeah.
Hebdo.
Hebdo.
Did
Yeah.
Hebdo.
a bunch of depictions of Muhammad, which, you know, in Islam is a no-no.
Forbidden.
And they did it anyway. And it was very controversial.
They so controversial that they shot the place up, didn't they?
Yeah.
Wasn't there? Yeah,
Well, that was in Paris.
that was in Paris.
Oh,
But-
right.
Yeah.
But it was a
Yeah,
retaliation
for that.
against. You were in Paris when that happened.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I
It's a different
forgot you
story.
were there. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, Danish cartoon, highly controversial, retaliatory action.
Yes.
and Aaron's making a parallel between himself and this Danish cartoon.
Yeah.
Well,
I
with
love.
just like almost a throwaway line.
Oh,
He
it's
just says,
totally
Mhm.
a throwaway.
Oh yeah.
Harmless as
The end
a
of the
Danish
verse.
cartoon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
God, this song's so good.
Also, the 6/8 like shoegazy thing that it goes into is the best. Cause like I needed like a time signature change. Like I wanted it. Like track 1, track 2. Okay, where's our like weird lilting waltzy thing? Okay, here we are. And with some of my favorite lyrics
Oh, so
in
good.
the whole album, this is not the first time God has died. This is not the first time. What is it? Capitalized 3-lettered
Capitalized.
sound.
Sound has died.
died.
so good.
I love it because it works on a lot of levels, and it doesn't really matter which one you hear or feel. You know, it's like you get what he's doing.
Mm.
I get why it's your favorite song, Kyle, and it just
Yeah.
It's so good.
it's a banger.
It ramps up. It ramps up in a really good way, right? Without feeling like it ever has to go. Like it moves in a really nice way. It doesn't have to have like Aaron needs his vocal delivery, even just kind of like it's here and then it's one step up, and then it's one step up, and then it
Right.
kind of
And
arcs
then
back down. And
yeah.
it dips back down into this is not the first time God has died. And I really like that because I feel like sometimes it feels like songs can go through a formula where it's like they feel like they have to have this like big arc, right? Where now I'm gonna yell, right?
And stay huge.
And this is this and stay huge. And I like the fact that this is a much more subtler sort of way to keep the song moving along,
For sure.
and without it feeling like it's going like too big,
right.
it's
or too formulaic.
or too formulaic.
I think that's why I really love it because it speaks to what the album as a whole kind of does for me. Like it speaks to a maturity from the band of like they don't feel like they're beholden to these like ideas of okay, well, we have to have this kind of song or we have to have this kind of song. Like it kind of does its own thing.
Yeah.
And it keeps at its own pace.
Yeah.
It drops in moments where you don't anticipate it dropping, and it picks up in moments where you don't anticipate. Like it's a very singular vision that
And they're always pleasant surprises.
Yes, exactly.
Those changes.
Exactly.
And even like the sort of little glimmer of hope it gives you at the very end, right after the, whether it's him riffing on Nietzsche or whatever he's doing with the God death, he hands you a little glimmer of hope. Won't you help me get by? Will you help me get by? Like it's kind of this moment of solace and like a plea for like, let's just get through this, because there's some themes of relationships and loss or confusion around who people are to us and who we are to ourselves, right, throughout this album. And like that's kind of what I meant when I was like apocalypse as metaphor. That's kind of how it landed for me, at least. And I feel like this is a moment where he's like, well, we can figure this out, like God, or if he's speaking to his wife or his dad or his bandmates or whoever, himself. He's just trying to like get through, and there's like a tiny bit of like hope in the very end of that refrain, to me at least, that I think is much needed after talking about God death.
Yeah.
But it's not overly saccharine because it's a question. Will you help me get by?
Good stuff.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's move on to track number 4, Mexican War Street.
Listen, you're not letting me get
Yeah, we need the alternate name.
working title.
That's right. I'm so sorry.
Working title. It was okay. So it was called Janglo Saxon.
Oh, that's so
Amazing.
Kind of.
No idea what that means. Do you
Chef's
guys have
kiss.
any
I mean,
idea?
I love that it's D minor, but also
Well,
it's Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah, Janglo-Saxon.
Anglo-Saxon. I mean, my mind immediately went to like Django Reinhardt and how the
Yeah.
fact that like he wasn't Anglo-Saxon and sort of the juxtaposition between those.
You'd have to ask Ricky
Contradiction.
what that is, but Janglo-Saxon was what it was. But also, there's a refrain I think at the end of D minor that harkens back to Pale Horse, right? So this is I feel like so there's sort of another like musical echo that's happening to the end of
Another
that
little
too.
moment of poetry. Yeah, that's cool.
Exactly, and that's unique. I feel like for Me Without You too. Just wanted to call that out.
Yeah.
Totally. Good shout out.
All right. Now we're going to move on to track number 4, Mexican War Streets.
Memory of a first fight, an uncontestable youth. I quoted white knights, thinking I'd get rid of you.
Careful of the streets, Kyle.
Careful.
Those drums are so good.
So good.
Yeah, just listen to Ricky play. That's all I just want to do, Just
I know.
let him do his thing. This one has that great line of the nature had another plan and failed to run it by me. And Mike, was it your idea whenever the farewell tour got postponed due to COVID and the post that went out was nature had another plan and failed to run it by me?
Yeah, nature had another plan. So I think exactly.
That's like the perfect reference to.
Yeah, it was there.
Yes,
it was there for the taking.
Exactly.
Well, and I love that it is a callback to Silencer too. Like, there's, this moment on A to B where he says, "I tried to love you and I failed, but I have another plan." And like this flips it. Nature had another plan and failed to run it by me. And it's like a buried reference. I think of it as a deep cut. Maybe it's a little more overt than I realized, but
Mexican War Streets, I would within the band's context, I don't think it's considered a deep cut at all. This is, I think, pretty often.
Oh no, I mean the reference to Silencer. That line, as a callback to the Silencer line.
I've never thought of it as a callback, but I'm going to say something. Josh, you brought this up, and TJ, now you're bringing it up too. You kind of latched on to this line, right? And obviously, I latched onto it too when I did the stuff for the delaying per COVID.
Which was also genius.
Okay, yeah.
Excellently done.
When Aaron was writing these lyrics, talked to me, he said one of the things that he wanted to do was he wanted to find moments in songs that he could sort of give a one-liner, like a punctuating line that hooks you in, right? And I think of like Nature Had Another Plan being one of those lines, and similar to the Silencer thing as well. I'd never put that together, although I love that part in Silencer. But it's
that
like,
line on Silencer is also that fully.
Or You Better Be Alone, right? These things like the crowd can sing along to as well. And I think that's very intentional. I think it's cool that you guys, everyone kind of gloms onto that part. And I think it's very intentional that it would be sort of a one-liner. And there's more one-liners, I think, in the record, and I can't think of what they are.
Oh,
top of my head. But Nature which is in Red Cow.
We'll talk about it.
Red Cow.
All right, yeah, we'll get there.
Also, I love the line, it's not a person who dies, but worlds die inside us.
That's so good.
That's insane. Like, I think, one thing I've read a lot about is like him wrestling with like his new, at this point, marriage, and like the idea of like dedicating your life to another person, or what does it mean to have love without it being based on an object, but rather like very free and open. I think he's, at least my interpretation of this one is that he's kind of wrestling with the push-pull nature and like ultimately the loss and grief that comes with love, like the divide that is this like ocean between us that we always have within another person, whether it's a deceased relative or someone that we're saying I do to, like, and we know like ultimately we're gonna have to have that moment where death does part us. He's kind of wrestling with that idea, but like I also love that in the same song he's saying to heck with all the drugs my parents did. Like
a line that was originally to hell with all the drugs my parents did, and then he re-recorded it to say heck, so it would be a little more,
which I love,
a little more
because
folksy. It's a little more folksy.
Yeah.
because later, right? Like he drops
The F
one.
bomb. Yeah.
But like the same guy re-recorded a line.
The fact that he
great, Mike.
later drops the F-bomb retroactively makes changing it to heck so much funnier too.
That's
Agreed.
so funny.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't
Oh my
think he was
God.
sensitive to the fact that like, oh, Me Without You. It's like we swear now. It's like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
So
we swear
edgy.
now on record, and it's just like I feel like
Right.
Aaron always wants to kind of like do something where he's like kind of poking
Push the
fun at
boundaries.
himself or not taking himself too
Oh.
seriously, and so
Yeah.
even when you see it, he kind of like does like a hand flip. When to heck with all the drugs, my parents. He does that on
Yes,
stage.
it's, like,
he's
cute.
very kind of
Oh, that's
cute.
great.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and I love it too. Specifically coming after saying bastards, it's just
Which
like
is, yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
so funny.
Yeah, this one goes hard, man.
You guys familiar with the Mexican War Streets?
I don't.
It's just a neighborhood in Pittsburgh.
Oh, no,
no,
definitely
I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah.
That's literally all I knew.
That's
That
it.
was, like,
I mean,
an area
and
of Pennsylvania.
we had friends that lived there, and then I forget how it worked out. We had a good amount of friends that lived there. We stayed there one night when our bus was towed in Pittsburgh. This whole song is obviously talking about Pittsburgh, right? Which is kind of funny. Like there's a band from Philadelphia writing a song about Pittsburgh with no songs about Philadelphia. It feels like the betrayal of some kind. But I do always think of this song when we're in Pittsburgh. But the Mexican War Streets was like kind of personal to me because it was like I had friends from Pittsburgh that lived there that had a coffee shop. There was this girl that I was in love with that lived in that neighborhood. And then this young lady, photographer, she brought us out to a place called Randyland in the Mexican War Streets and did a photo shoot with us. And this is before the song was written. So I feel like when Aaron was there getting those photos, I don't know if you've ever seen the photos of the band, they're like holding mannequin heads behind all these like weird painted fences. And it's like, it's very much like outsider art. It's literally like a block of just like, there's nothing. And it's just like, this guy's made a sculpture garden and he's very eccentric and his name is Randy and he calls it Randy Land. And I feel like Aaron was very much attracted to like that outsider art, the beauty of Pittsburgh that day. And like, that became like the sort of the setting for this thing. The photographer, by the way, was Amy Santavica, and she did a lot of really great photography for Me Without You, specifically the farewell photos and stuff like that she did. She's a really excellent photographer, and she's someone who just like, hey, can I shoot the band? And we're just like, sure, why not? And then I think that she produced some of the most iconic photos of the band. And she's just a young lady. I mean, she must have been 19 when she hit me up, maybe even younger. But she's really great. She brought us there, and I feel like her bringing us into Randyland in the Mexican War Street sort of inspired this song. The title, certainly.
So would you call that karma, Mike? Because Aaron trembles at the thought of what's often referred to as karma.
As karma. That's true. Ricky famously thinks this song is about him and how much Aaron does. And that Aaron didn't like him at the time.
Oh no!
Yeah, and there's a line here about because he was convinced, and I'm still not.
Panic like a mouse
convinced.
when the lights go on.
Panic like a mouse
when the heart to watch your world fall
apart. Yeah, and there was some of that occurring in that time.
Oh man!
And I won't go too deep into it, but there was some of that happening for Rick, where it's like the panic, the world falling apart. And Aaron, I feel like kind of being like, yeah, well, that's what you get,
that kind of happens.
and like,
oh man,
and also like the other clue that Ricky had was talking about the springs of Carnegie Steel. That was, I think, people thought that, and Beaver probably shares the same opinion too, but that is an image of the bus, the springs and Carnegie Steel. This is an image of the bus, this steel thing that runs on that has like a well, it's not on springs, it's technically air cushions, but you know what I mean, like it evokes this image of like something moving,
right.
and it's what does it say here about over rotating wheels? Both Aaron and Ricky slept in the back of the bus, over the wheels of the back of the bus too, on either side. And then there's another line here where he says, listening beside me at night like some seismic machines. Because he snores. And so like there was this idea like, this is an image of Aaron in the back of the bus sleeping next to like a snoring Ricky. But Aaron, I asked Aaron about that. He said, not at all. I think, and I mentioned this to the guys that were curious, and Beaver was like, bullshit. Beaver, I don't think he'll accept anything else. But I don't know the stuff about white knights and like, I don't know.
I can't.
That's so good.
Imagine being in a band and like having my personality and being like, was that song written about me? And then everyone just being like, no. Well, maybe.
Especially when there's like all the different ways, like just little seeds here and there. It's like nothing's like overt, but you're like, that's enough to make
nothing's
like,
overt.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
That's so funny. That's so funny. All right, guys,
So
let's move on to track number 5.
What was the working title, Mike?
The working title
was Ricky's a fucking snorer.
Well, first of all, I mean,
he was the log cutter of Rainbow Sign.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know that on the back cover of the vinyl,
they're scratched
is that there's
out.
always they're all scratched out. And this, but there are longer versions of these things. Like obviously, Enter Windjammer is not on the back of it. It just says Thundercage. So this one is Castlevania 8: Simon's Last Wish.
Oh hell yeah! I love that.
Deeply unserious.
Yes,
so metal.
That's a real
lots of edgy games.
Chasing victory move. All right, let's move on to track number 5, Red Cow.
Is this like a top 5 Me Without You song?
This was almost my favorite. It's so good.
It's almost my favorite.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's got to be up there. I feel like
almost favorite is on like when you say that you mean
on the record.
On this record,
number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I feel like it's a top 5 out of their whole discography.
Really, that's interesting.
I feel like this song is just everything you want Me Without You to do in a song.
It does check all the boxes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes big. It goes big.
Mm-hmm.
It goes very big.
Yeah, and it starts out in that kind of smoldery place with Ricky's drums kind of like really holding it down in a classic Me Without You way. Like, but then it does, go to 11.
And to talk about what I thought was the big standout like line for this song for me that I was alluding to on the last song, was he a violent man? Will he had his genocidal moments? Which is like, that's got to be one of the best Me Without You moments because everything is on 10 here with like the music. We're just coming out of that guitar solo, and then that's a great line with great delivery, and then it's enhanced by there's that audio tree version of them playing where like during Brandon's solo, Aaron's just sitting on an amp like drinking water. And then, like, it's like his turn to sing, and he just like drops the water, and then just goes up, and then just explodes that line on the mic. Like he goes from just silently sipping his water to just delivering that line. It's awesome.
Insane, man.
Does he know what he's doing?
Yeah,
he really does. He's effortlessly cool. He's like cool. He's not a cool guy,
right?
Like he's not like hip. He doesn't present, but he knows how to bring it. When
he's a performer.
He can
flip the switch.
Wouldn't know it.
Like he turns it on
until he gets on stage. It's really quite something.
Yeah.
He's not the life of the party.
No,
he's not the loudest guy in the room.
No, I specifically remember seeing Me Without You in Omaha. And
hang on, let me pull up the settlement sheet.
Oh yeah. Wait. What year was this? It was Joe Cutler's bachelor party.
2011. It's probably 2011, I think.
Maybe
like
2011
May or June.
They played in Omaha, and I played pinball with Aaron for about
Okay.
20 minutes before the
Nice.
show started. And we didn't talk about anything but his pinball score.
Yeah.
And I went up
Was he
to
good? Like, was he crushing it?
Oh,
He
he
is
was
good.
really good. He was really good.
He's really good.
Nice.
His initials are MWY
Way to go,
Yeah.
Aaron.
on pinball machines, by the way.
Uh-huh.
no.
He reps the
Yeah.
he reps the boys.
Yeah.
Respect. Respect.
Yeah. I don't remember the name of the venue, but it was in Omaha. Yeah, either 2011 or 2012.
My guess is I'm looking for it right now. Omaha. It was in May 30th. It was at the waiting room.
Yes.
On the- Yeah,
Oh my God. This is
on
wild.
2012. This is May 30th.
That is
You're
wild.
amazing.
Yeah, it was the waiting room. Yeah, and the waiting room's it's a really nice space, I think. Yeah, there are pinball machines in the back there.
Yes.
By the way,
yeah.
224 people in the room, 156 advance sales, 68 day of show for a total paid of 224. I don't have comps in there. I'm sorry, guys.
Wow.
Well, the door gross was
You
only
should be
33.
sorry.
Yeah, the door gross is only $3,360.
Oh, wow.
It did not go into points. Actually, the show lost money.
That's crazy.
You know what, though? Long term, you may have gained back some points because I played pinball with Aaron.
Yeah.
And I will remember that for the rest of my life. And I'll always be.
Can I guess what the game is? Was it Theater of Blood?
Oh, God. I don't even know. I'll have
Okay.
to ask Joe. Hold on. Let me ask Joe. I just remember.
While you're doing that,
Yeah. Because it was the. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, TJ.
I was just going
Oh,
say,
yeah.
we get a
TJ,
call back to
you have a hard
Pale Horse.
Yeah.
Yes. Right in the middle of the record, too.
Yeah, which I think is nice
I do
that we like
Yep.
have
Beginning
a through
and a
line. Not
middle.
only is there symmetry between Pale Horse and Rainbow Signs, but also right in the middle, which is pretty cool. I also I like that this one kind of like puts perception up under interrogation a little bit, like the idea of apparition eyes, and the verse about the like seeing the Virgin Mary and it only being roughly human, and how like a lot of times we see what we want to see. Because there's across this album, I think there's an interrogation of language that I've meant to touch on more, but haven't yet. But I will now. And Aaron's even spoken to that in some interviews and things. But I'd love to hear if he talked to you about that at all, Mike. But definitely, also I think perception is visual, right? And so not just the words we hear or say to each other or hear from each other or the written word or lines from a vocalist, but also like the things we see, the things we think we see. You know, you might have thought that Aaron's score on the pinball machine was really good, Kylan, but you might have just been seeing what you wanted to see
True.
for the story.
True.
But yeah, did he talk to you much about that, Mike? About like kind of putting
Yeah, you
language
boil
under
that
the microscope?
Putting language on the microscope. Yeah, and I think about this all the time. Basically, that just like words are just, they can only take you so far, right?
Right.
And part of the reason why we have sort of other visceral forms of communication through different mediums, right? In art or in the expressions of music or visual art or painting or whatever, or, you know, even in like poetry, right? It's just like, it's a kind of a different kind of language. It's still the written word, but like there is expression beyond prose that like prose just can't contain. It just is. It just can't. Like, you know, the message is the medium is the message essentially, right?
Right.
And maybe, and again, I hate if I'm repeating myself, but I always bring this up. A big influence on me is David Lynch, the late David Keith Lynch, who said that he would make a film and then he would go on a press tour and everyone wants him to talk about the film or explain the film or yada, yada, yada. And his whole thing was just like, the film is the talking, right? And so I think that's like this idea that, again, that is the expression. Do you think that me talking about Mulholland Drive is going to make Mulholland Drive any more
any better,
clear,
like
any better?
Yeah. Right.
And I love that 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 someone like Lynch kind of had the wherewithal, and because if it's me, I'm like, let me talk about it. All I want to do is talk about my process in this thing. Because I want you to think about movies in this way, or I want you to think about my work in this way, and I want you to know that I think about my work in this way. And so he kind of has this like he's someone who can let the work speak for himself. David Lynch is what I'm talking about. But and the same thing where it's like we can only say so much. Like our bodies can only contain so much life. Our words can only contain so much meaning. And like when you find someone online apologizing for something, or there's some sort of act of contrition that's happening publicly, like words will always fail. Like the public apology will never satisfy everybody, and that's because it can, like, the actual emotion can only touch you if you are receptive to it. And I feel like that's part of this too, where there's this metaphysical thing happening when communication of any kind occurs, and you just have to be open to it to receive it, like in a David Lynch film, like in a Me Without You song, like in a public apology from Brendan Fraser. I don't know. Did Brendan Fraser ever apologize for anything publicly? But it's just like, you understand what I'm saying, is like, yeah, there has to be like an openness to it and an understanding that the medium may be the message, but it's also its own limitation.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's only an approximation. It's the finger pointing at the moon, not the moon itself.
Well said, TJ.
All right, guys. Let's move on to track number 6.
Nice, Kylan. Listen. The song is called Mike's 90s Sausage.
Oh,
okay. I was like, is it Rampage?
So glad.
Sausage.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, on the back of the cover, Aaron was very specific that we really scratch out sausage because he is a vegan.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And so it just looks like Mike's 90s.
Bad public image.
Yeah, and so sausage, obviously, sausage is actually referring to the master track, where it just literally looks like a cased sausage as it tapers into, like, basically like the full volume, and at the end it tapers off, and that's what you would call like a sausage, right? It's not actually a penile reference. It's actually more of a reference to it's a big sounding rock song. This is his the big
now we know how the sausage gets made.
Exactly. Here we are.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
And this song was also very clearly earmarked as like, this will be a single. This will be the song that we put out that people are going to go nuts for. And I feel like that was maybe determined before Aaron even put stuff on. So I feel like Aaron also knows he needs to bring it on this, because this is like, I feel like it's maybe similar with Julia on another record, on the next record, where it's like, got to bring it. Because we feel like this is a really strong instrumental.
Right.
No, it totally is.
Sweet. All right, guys. Let's move on to track number 6, Dorothy.
The other night I dreamt I was back in college. There were boys in robes and sandals. They were singing songs to Krishna, burning candles.
I like this as a nice little intermission to kind of split up side A and side B,
Yeah.
And a perfect subject matter for intermission, a dream, right? But it also has some weight, like connecting with his dad a little bit and remembering him. And I just gotta say, like, I think the sort of the interpolation of like LOI and his dad's name Elliot is like really beautiful.
Yeah,
like
very cool.
And he found a way to kind of blur those lines in a symbolic way, like kind of asking the question, like, what is the difference between an earthly and heavenly father? And like he later like becomes his dad in a sense. Or he's like kind of connecting with him and like identifying as that. And so it's almost like,
I think you're right in that
he's
first
asking
part.
about human nature. And it's like, what is our ability to toe the line of like human frailty and like our ability to kind of be divine. And I love that. He's always kind of like asked those questions. Like in It's All Crazy, the moment where he talks about being utterly changed in the fire. And it's obviously like death, but it's also like maybe resurrection or becoming immortal, being divine. And this, even as like a little kind of stopgap interstitial track, like brings some lyrical substance to bear, at least for me. Like it was one that always made me think anytime this song came on. Like I went to that place kind of questioning those things. So I'm really grateful for it on a thematic level. But sonically, yeah, it is just like perfectly placed.
Yeah, and it does that thing that we always the songs that connect with each other, right? Aubergine, Fox's Dream, so many songs on Catch and on A to B Life. Like having the songs that kind of bleed into each other is like, I feel like something that makes Me Without You records kind of flow in this way. And connecting these two songs, going from this super big sounding rock song to this, again, this Me Without You can do these great things. One of the things I think makes Me Without You special is the fact that they are so good dynamically. They're dynamically good. Like they can do these like low pensive songs and these mid-tempo kind of like dreary tracks, you know, and then they can also do the really big rock song, and they go together and they tonally fit.
Seamless.
Be seamless. And these songs were never, I don't think, married in the writing process. But they kind of like found their way together as songs kind of like as songs kind of like drone out. You kind of begin to piece them together when you're like playing around with sequencing. And these two just felt like it's perfect. And so it just kind of goes into it. You're right. And it acts as like an outro for side A. It was, you know, very much so. And I really love it. I think it's quite a beautiful song. Very stirring in a lot of ways.
Mike, do you know why like the final track was called Dorothy? Because for me, like it does evoke like a Wizard of Oz kind of thing of like a reverie of like I've had all these like fantastical experiences and then tying them back to like real world kind of things, which leads into side B, I think.
Kind of bleeding the fact and fiction of it all.
Yes. I mean, so I'm going to jump ahead and not cut you off, Kylan, while you try to go on to Blue Hen. But the song, the actual like demo title was Dorothy.
Okay.
Misspelled.
Oh, cool.
Misspelled Dorothy.
Nice.
Without the extra O. Because Ricky just kept sending files along that always said Dorothy. Not Dorothy, Dorothy.
Right.
So you can see on the back cover there, I can see you're looking, Josh. Yep. You can see that we have the actual title, Dorothy, the printed title, crossed out, and then we have the demo title also crossed out. and then so the misspelling is crossed out, the actual and then we have, it's the only one that presents itself as handwritten on the back cover of the vinyl as the proper Dorothy. Cool. And so this is a rare instance where the demo title informs the end result.
Oh, that's cool.
Right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And so I feel like Aaron saw Dorothy misspelled. We chuckled about it a couple times. And then like decided to write like a song that, again, sort of had to do with, had a sort of reverie aspect to it, right? Where it is dreamlike, right? And this stream of consciousness. And he remembers this vision of his father and Sister Margaret, callback to It's All Crazy with Timothy Hay, and talking about his wife and yada, yada, yada. And all these kind of hopes and things that go into it. Yeah. And, TJ, you brought up a really good point about the envisioning his father and becoming his father at the end of it too. It plays into that sort of like narrative through line, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because in the dream state, like those kind of like surreal, abnormal things feel perfectly normal.
Totally.
Right? So it makes sense again that we're working inside a dreamscape here on this one. And Rainbow Signs also feels very dreamy and almost like a vision, like a prophetic vision.
Sure.
So it takes us back there.
I love the melody when he says, "And last night I was somewhere near Virginia." Like there's something that is just like, I just think that moment is just, it's a very beautiful melodic moment. And it's like, I don't know why that hits me, the notes, something about being somewhere near Virginia, like this sort of like displacement, but it feels like a very unique thing within the band's entire catalog, I think, is that moment right there.
Mm-hmm.
Last night I was somewhere near Virginia. Yeah. This is a really funny song, short song, and that, funny in the sense that it's so short and brief. Again, somber, pensive, and just strange.
It
atmospheric.
Does a really good job of bridging side A and side B. I think, like, to me, it feels like it kind of like sequelizes the Spider songs on Brother Sister. Like those just feel like such like sketches of ideas that separate the album. And this feels like it synthesized like all of those ideas into one sort of like mega track that transitioned between side A and side B. Really well.
I think that since the Spider songs, when they get kind of sequenced and put together on the record for Brother Sister, that there became this idea that like it's like a nice way to sort of like create like these demarcation points on a record to help give it its shape, right? And to sort of give the listener an experience, right, as they kind of ebbs and flows. Give it punctuation. There was something that was attempted, that was recorded for It's All Crazy, that never got released, called hang on. Whatever comes and whatever goes, 2 tracks. It's like whatever comes, whatever comes. That's the only line. And then at the end, it's the next track is like whatever goes. Like whatever goes, whatever goes, whatever goes, whatever goes. Let it go. We had these like, so I feel like there's always been this sort of like idea like now we're gonna create these like little kind of moments. And I could be wrong here, but that's, I think, the intentionality of like opening track, ending track. I wouldn't call it an interstitial track, but allowing there to be something that kind of has a pause.
Right. For sure.
Because there's no other moments that are like, there's no other songs that are like quite like whatever comes and whatever goes, or the Spider songs. But you're not wrong, and I think sensing that songs like Pale Horse or Dorothy are meant to be role players,
right,
within the album.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. All right, guys, let's move on to track number 7, Blue Hen.
Fires of the lighthouse burning in the bay. Waters of the sound sleeping through the day. Ostrich of the night.
This might be the catchiest guitar part on the record.
It's the most like rock and roll.
And another example of 2 different guitar parts in the verses that work so well and play together.
Yeah, so good. And again, all this imagery, like just flying around you, painting this crazy picture.
TJ, I want to just say I applaud you. I'm not surprised that you did go like full lyrics on a Me Without You record, but that's just something for me that I'm like, there's not enough time or bandwidth for me to like even try to think about that. I'm much like Mike, where I'm like, I'm just gonna enjoy it. There's things that will stick out to me, and I'll catch on to that. Yeah, I got a vibe because I'm like, he's on another plane, and
I mean, we talked about this in Mike's interview that like, and I think we also touched on it when we covered Kestrus the Foxes, but they strike the perfect balance between vibe guy and like lyrical weirdo. Like they do both so perfectly and fully. Neither is sacrificed. They both have full representation in across their discography, and that's so rare and so exciting. And I think that's why we all resonate with them so much. And it's why like I'm in lyrics mode tonight, Josh, but like that doesn't mean that my ears aren't hooking into every guitar riff and like just loving all Ricky's drums. Like I'm fully in vibe mode as like a second tab in my window. Basically, the primary tab is like
for sure
thinking lyrics, but there's a whole other part of me that's just like, this record slaps. Like it's so good.
Right.
And
I feel like they're able to
talk
like
for weeks about
marry
all of it.
that like perfectly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm just now starting to articulate this. Why I think Me Without You vibes with the 3 of us specifically is like there's a level that like you can hook onto it in so many different levels, but there's a level where it's like, as a musician, we're all like, oh fuck, like all those parts are so good. And then there's like there's like kind of almost two parts lyrically where like you can kind of vibe out and recognize certain things and be like, I'm smart, I know that. And then there's another part where you're like, oh, I can actually like I can learn more about this, and I can almost become educated, right? Like I can learn more just by like looking up all of these individual lines and all of these references.
It's
and
true.
So it seems like Me Without You is like uniquely in a space for like the Venn diagram of the three of us, where we can all vibe on all of the levels. like I can do my ADHD rabbit hole thing on Wikipedia. Like I hear like certain phrases, I'm like, oh, well, I need to learn more about that. And then
and I can pull out the fact that there's a Rilke poem reference, like
right,
Hey,
poet,
I can do it too. He says, "Our joy was electric." That's got to be a Ronnie Martin reference.
There you go. There you go.
Ronnie
No,
Martin.
and that's a couplet, Josh. That's a couplet with the line that I was talking about, the Rilke poem, "The circles concentric." Joy electric, circles concentric. Like he's. I mean,
no, I know.
Aaron's
I think that
representing
that might
the full
be,
spectrum.
Yes, that line specifically feels like Church Seems Now in a podcast. Like,
yes, circles concentric, our joy is electric.
Yeah.
Plus Badgers at
exactly.
midnight. I want to include the Badgers too.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Don't forget them. And it's also a callback to All Circles a little bit. So again, he's like referencing older work and like kind of bringing it to this record. Also, the outro goes so hard, and then can we just listen to maybe the last 20 seconds? Because it goes so hard, and then
the Mastodon shadow part.
Yes, and then I want you to picture like the last little segment. And this right here. Feels like the sound of a soul leaving a body.
Yeah, no, it's so intense. And then like mixed with like the lyrical content.
Yes, yes.
So
I'll
intense.
wrap up your absence in blankets of reverence, a mastodon shadow divided by zero.
It's so
comfort
good.
Your family with words like eternity and friends
So
made
good.
in factories somewhere. Who are these friends? Why are they made in factories? What is a mastodon shadow?
AI, baby.
Oh my god.
So, interestingly enough, the friends in factories are actually a reference to stuffed animals.
Amazing. Thank you, Mike.
So, and because most of this has to do with the death of Mike and Aaron's Nana, who lived in the Delaware Shore. The blue hen is a reference to the University of Delaware. And the other part of this too that's interesting, and I'm happy you brought this up, TJ, is because this is another sort of interesting thing when Aaron goes into the studio afterwards without the band. It's him and Will, right? Aaron actually edited this part of the song where everything drops out except Rick's drums. Like there's whole instruments going on. Like there's a whole part written.
No
that
way.
Aaron and Will cut out the part and kept it, so it was just drums and vocals.
Wow.
So he was able to deliver that just a little bit more impactfully. So that was a surprise. I was surprised when that came through, and it pays off.
Yeah.
A mastodon shadow divided by zero is like top tier.
Right. Yeah.
It's the coolest.
Me Without You is divided by zero. It's like, I just freaking love it.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's really good.
No, this album again, like I said, like this feels like Aaron utilized like doublets more than any other record. Like he's just like hitting line after line after line after line. Like we're
and not one is wasted. They're so dense.
Yeah.
And they have such impact. Like it'd be one thing if it was like, took my shoes on a cruise, can't lose. don't have the blues, but like Mastodon Shadow divided by 0.
And I'll wrap up your
Ridiculous.
absence in blankets of reverence.
Blankets of reverence.
Reverence. A Mastodon
Come
Shadow
on, man.
divided by 2.
This freaking slant rhymes, man.
Your blue hen remains will dissolve at my door like a teaspoon of salt. Like,
Oof.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he's talking about Nana. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
And guys,
Um,
this is like
Mhm.
track 7. Like
Yeah, right.
we're like so deep into the record at this point. And you're gonna
this
throw
this is a
lines
deep
like
cut.
that. Yeah.
This is a
but
deep
it's
cut.
so
It's a deep cut.
good.
And another song that I think is just like, it's like D minor in my opinion too, where it's like, this is sort of maybe an understated, or maybe it's not like a fan favorite, which I don't understand why. I mean, what is a fan favorite? January 1979, like Torches,
Right.
like Sweater Poorly
Yeah.
Knit, Red Cow. Like, okay, great. Those are your top 10 on Spotify. But like, yeah, Blue Hen. It's just, I love the way that guitar
Yeah.
comes in. I
It's
love
so
the way
good.
this song
Mhm.
ends. I love Aaron's vocal material.
Yeah.
I love the self-deprecation about prancing around the stage at your advancing
Prancing on the
age.
stage. Yeah.
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 Um,
So good.
and yeah, I just I think it's an all-timer. I think it's
Yeah.
like what mewithoutYou does best in 2015 is like
100%.
Blue Blue Hen.
Yeah.
Because it
Or
just
otherwise known
goes.
as-
Otherwise known as Motown Philly.
Jesus
No
Christ.
way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see it. It's pretty
That's
I
scratched
told
out.
you, this
but-
is not serious.
Oh,
We're
man.
not serious
Love
when it
that.
comes to, because Ricky is a guy who comes up with all this stuff for the most part. Like, and some songs will have multiple names, So, but he's a big vibes guy, and he's a guy who likes to have fun, and he's creative in this
I
way.
appreciate it.
So yeah, Motown Philly.
That's so
Great.
All right, guys, let's move on to track number 8, Lilac Queen.
Comet strings and rocket scenes and cyclone turning seas that foes profanely breathe.
Guitar tone is so good.
It is. I just want to call
Tasty.
out the lyric that soon is the swing of the hammerhead, and then in brackets on the lyrics it says villain from Thundercats.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So good.
yeah. And Vulture is also from He-Man, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I wondered if that was like a cartoon reference.
it says IBID. Is that what that is?
It did. I don't know what the heck that even
I
means.
don't know, but that's what's after Vulture. Was there, and he referenced Werewolf King, and there's a track on the appendix that's Werewolf King. Was there originally going to be a Werewolf King track and a Lilac Queen on the record?
No.
No? Okay.
No, there was a demo called Wonka Bar. And when we were going through it, I think Aaron we were looking for extra material to put on the deluxe edition. Aaron was like, "Oh, what about Wonka Bar? Like, are you going to write a song to this? You going to write lyrics to this demo?" And so he took it, and then he just basically, took Lilac Queen, put a little twist on it, called it Werewolf King demo, and like that's the way we kind of like try to like see them as like sister songs on the appendix. Werewolf King
Mm-hmm.
or Chernobyl 1985 being Magic Lantern Day's sister song. So we tried to. That was kind of the intention. There was like, what lyrics are established? What little twist can we put on them? And how can they be presented in a new way that sounds like a new song?
Right.
Cool.
I was born of a thought of mine. I was the ISIS flag design.
Oh boy, most controversial lyric. The only lyric that's ever had pushback.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Well, not the only lyric.
From internally?
The Nick Fury line was everybody jumped on that. But Greg specifically did not like the ISIS flag, the ISIS reference, because this is around the time when they were like beheading people on camera,
Right.
and he thought that it may be in poor taste. But the ISIS flag design is a specific reference to the fact that like there is something inherently appealing about the aesthetic, like the DIY aesthetic of this thing. And like, I can kind of, it looks cool. but it's like it is inherently like it's evil, right? And so this is another way of
but it
Aaron
draws
sort of
people
like,
in. It's effective.
but it draws you. It's effective, and so this is another way of like the self-deprecation again, where I was the ISIS flag design, not I was ISIS.
Mm-hmm.
I was the ISIS flag design. I'm
Yeah.
something that sort of has this sort
It's an
of
important
malevolence or this like evil to it, and this ugly sort of illiberal values, and then but it kind of postures itself as like being countercultural or like cool in some way.
Right.
And I think Aaron specifically finding the aesthetics of this is really him talking about himself too. He finds the aesthetics of the flag appealing,
Right.
but knows that what the flag stands for is awful.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I love that. That's so smart.
Yeah.
Is that how he like won over Greg eventually to like for it to stay in the song?
Well, it's in the lyric book, I believe. I think that he may have put something in there, or maybe it got removed. There was a long. Oh, it's not in here.
It's not
Interesting. Yeah, there was like a. Hang on one second. May I go and try and find what that lyric may have been?
I do love the way this song has kind of a duality of modes when it gets to that point where we have the "I'll be long, long gone," because that section's very like kind of like not plain, but like very straightforward and kind of happy sounding, and then like the section that we're talking about with the ISIS flag design and you were a lilac queen paddling through your empire streams. That part has a little bit of like it has an edge to it that can unnerve a listener. It's very like kind of eerie and like creepy, and I like that the song has kind of a dual mode system in it.
I do have the lyric
back and forth.
I have the lyric, by the way.
You found it?
This is, I was born of a thought of mine. I was and am entirely opposed to the ideological implications and practical applications surrounding the ISIS flag. These are all that's in brackets. So I was brackets and am entirely opposed to the ideological implications of and practical applications surrounding end bracket the ISIS flag. Start new bracket, but grant that a certain unlikely charm can be found in its haphazard, special needs, colorblind, kindergartner, shitty circle cutout construction paper aesthetic end bracket design. That I can't believe that didn't make it into the lyric book, to be quite honest. And actually,
for sure.
You know,
well, it made it on church hymns now, so
it did. In fact,
remake
I'm not
that
convinced.
collector's edition.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, like, I'm just like, wait, is it in the collector's edition?
That's nuts.
Because I feel like we had that in there.
Yeah,
I could be totally wrong.
Wow.
Somebody just cut it. They were like, this isn't getting on the lyric sheet.
No,
the printer was like, no.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Wow.
It is not in there.
Dang.
I could
for the 10th anniversary edition.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh. Man, I thought we put that in there.
Aaron,
but that was put in there. That was put in there to help Greg. Because we never printed
and then
it.
They took it out.
Sorry, Greggy.
That's so funny.
Well, let's continue these Magic Lantern days with track number 9. Magic Lantern Days.
Oh, Lilac Queen.
Huh?
Oh yeah. What was the working title?
Yeah. What was the alternate title?
I don't remember.
Very long.
Wait, you have it here, don't you? You have. Oh, it was Lennon-esque or On the Run.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
I like the line, "Unto the earth the bomb is born." Feels very Doctor Strangelove.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is my second favorite song on the record.
You like the one acoustic song, TJ?
That makes sense.
It's the bright triumphant trumpets for me, and the fact that again, he's kind of striking a balance between like there's some hopefulness in it, the way it sounds, and kind of the lyrical contents, and there's some remaining like melancholia as well. The bass grooves on this one too, dude.
Oh yeah, we have not brought
unsung
up
hero of
any
this song.
sweet bass, but this album is rife with sweet
Greg's just
bass.
holding it down, you know,
and especially this one.
This was, I think, Greg brought this song actually. It's
Oh,
called
sick.
Epic. It's called Epic Greg. That was the demo title.
Greg.
Because it kind of has this sort of like ascending, sort of ethereal, almost like an Appleseed Cast kind of like late '90s emo vibe to it, which is not Appleseed Cast specifically being Greg's wheelhouse, but that sort of being Greg's wheelhouse, that late '90s, early aughts emo kind of thing.
Right.
And Ricky was just like, you know what, Greg? You're gonna get this song named after you.
Yeah, exactly. Epic Greg.
Work.
Well, that's the thing too.
yours,
Is like
buddy.
Mike's '90s sausage, Epic
Oh, yeah.
Greg. These things kind of they appear over time. You see people would get their name on stuff.
That's great.
Mhm.
No, TJ, I just want to. I have in my notes that this song is so pretty for a song that is maybe about atomic fallout. Like,
Yeah.
Which also makes it feel very Doctor Strangelove.
yeah, in the best way.
And like the weird, like the apocalyptic imagery, right? Like in unmysterious ways, we reenacted closet plays from charming magic lantern days for the android whales below.
Right.
Like just this like strange sci-fi hellscape.
Well, and then even like the deep blue Kasparov like invokes very much like Cold War imagery.
Yeah, the android whales below, and then parentheses. Thank you, Harvey. Which I have no idea. He's
What is that a reference to?
I don't know. Aaron just likes to have fun.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like he likes to throw stuff in there, like just like no one is gonna get necessarily. I mean, maybe you could.
Oh wait, you mean it's an inside joke, Mike?
There might be a couple of those in here.
Okay.
Too many humans.
I'll remember that.
Is it Bacchic? Too many humans. That's in there as well. Mike Bacchic was our merch guy. He has a tattoo across his chest that says "Too many humans."
Oh wow! Okay.
Big, bold, sort of like block letters across his chest. Too many humans. He also runs Catatonic Youths, that Instagram account. If you've ever seen that, everyone go watch Catatonic Youths on Instagram. He's big. Mike Bacchic is bigger than Me Without You. But like that's he specifically puts that in here. There's another line earlier. He talks about the bellows edge of the iron lung. That's a whole other inside joke for the band. When our steering column went too far to the right on the bus and it rubbed against the air suspension system and would burst the bellows, the bag that held it. So you would have this, it would ruin our air suspension system. There's all these kinds of things that are like littered throughout the buried in beds thing. There's always inside jokes and stuff like that. So I don't know who Harvey is, and the android whales line has always sort of evaded me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's submarines and Cold War, but like, I also think that there's like a double meaning in there of like, this like far flung future world where we're like doing plays about the old times, like reenacting like Nazarene settings and also like Chernobyl and looking back at the halcyon days of before everything was a apocalyptic wasteland.
Yeah, I love this song. I love it lyrically, and I love "Time Will Fill the Rubbish Yards." I love like that whole section of the song. I think it's another sort of role player song. I think that the guys need kind of breaks during their live sets, and this is like a song that you can kind of go to that maybe gives Aaron a little bit of rest, gives Rick a little bit of rest before they're going to go into whatever else is going to come next. Yeah, I remember my wife being the most excited for this song when she listened to the demos, and then the most disappointed by it.
By the final,
really?
Yeah, she thought Aaron was going to go way amped up, and when he went melodic and brought in the acoustic, I think she was like, I don't ever want to listen. I don't ever want to listen to a Me Without You demo again, if that's okay.
Interesting, because it sets expectations.
Exactly, which I think is part of the fun.
Way.
Right?
Yeah.
Seeing the process on the way. Yeah.
What's the working title on this one?
Epic Greg.
Epic Greg.
Yeah,
right.
Epic
We already
Greg.
talked about it. Sorry.
I just want to say I love the guitar parts at 250 of how they get really pretty. And
Yes.
Yeah.
This almost feels like an album closer, almost.
I was like, it's interesting that it's not the second to last song.
Yeah,
for
it's
me.
not the penultimate.
Yeah. But there's definitely been a theme on this record, I feel like, of in like the last minute, like the last 60 to 90 seconds of songs, they'll like change up whatever the song has been doing, and then like to go to like a new guitar part or something like that, and you kind of have like this outro section. Like I think it happens. The next song is happening on Magic Lantern Days, D minor, Watermelon Ascot. Like it's definitely been like a theme that's been recurring.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan.
Let's move on to track number 10, Burnham Wood.
Would you take a pound of Isaac's place? Are you not and shall your grace grow weary of your sins?
That's what you do with the wood, right? You burn them.
You burn 'em.
Burn 'em.
Burn 'em. Okay, Texas boy. You burn 'em that wood.
Grandpa, what am I going to do with all these wood cuts?
Burn 'em.
Burn 'em. I like this one. It's kind of like a weird stuttery song, like kind of near the end.
Yeah.
It lifts the energy back up like just enough, and then like you said, Josh, there's the shift at the end of the kind of 2/3 of the way into the song or so.
Yeah, but this one's also one of the more traditional structure songs, because you definitely have like the chorus of "Would you take a bound up Isaac's place?"
Yeah, which is intense imagery, man. Like, and shall your grace grow weary of your saints?
Yeah, whew. I love that the grace has like kind of like a double meaning of like, oh, you're like the grace that you extend, and also like in like as referring to someone as your grace. That's really cool,
right?
So this song, let's call it the most controversial song that Aaron has ever turned in. This, I mean, like I'm looking at the emails right now. He sent this. Oh, I guess it's November 24th in 2014. So
it's
2 days before he. Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
That's when everyone said we don't like this song.
That tracks.
Happy birthday, Kyle.
Happy birthday to me.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, yeah. So Aaron sent it along, and he is already doubting this song when he sends it in. He says, he said his doubts about spatially portions of verse and melody are awkward / weak. At least one or two lines feel like filler lyrics. Also, the overall song doesn't have a very coherent theme to me, nor does it have the intentional scatterbrain incoherence of, say, Thunder Cage. In short, the lyrics overall feel piecemeal at times. This is Aaron's criticism.
Oh, wow.
Replaceable or interchangeable. Vocals are pretty dirty and mixed low, which I assume Will did because of something wasn't sitting well, when a cleaner, louder, better singing version might help. Anyway, he just kind of gives all this stuff. I typically appreciate some vocal distortion as it covers a multitude of vocal sins. But here again, I wonder, will this emerge as a cool theme, tastefully consistent vocal sound, or will it come across as too often used as a crutch? From there on, the paragraphs came from everybody, including Aaron again. Wow. Oh boy, I'd really like to read this whole thing. That was Aaron's sort of thing. Bieber came on and said, it's not what I naturally thought I'd hear from this thing. I need lyrics. I responded saying, this is the only song I said only in all caps. This is the only song. I don't know if I meant that positively. This is the only song you've sent that for me misses the mark. That was my original note. And Mike also says that he also was surprised by it. Greg says that he has some thoughts that are similar to the ones that have already been voiced. Doesn't look like Ricky put in anything. Aaron
just
also
the title.
Yeah. Oh, the title is Spacely's Sprockets.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's great. The working title.
This was the reason why there is this reaction to this song when Aaron sends this up is because it was really toned down. I think that Aaron, that bad down, 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 down. Mike's part is like removed for all the verses, and it was there in all the verses. Because Aaron and Will edited it out because it just didn't fit. The momentum of it didn't fit over what Aaron was dealing. I think Aaron got the chords to the song, and the way he wrote to it was he just walked around playing the chords, and that's how he came up with melody, and he couldn't shout about it. This was the song written after Red Cow. This may have been the last song written for Pale Horses, where guys were like, holy cow, what did we just write? This is our ticket. Like, yeah, we're gonna be rich. Everyone feels like this is like the next like big Me Without You song. And so everyone's really hyped for it. And Aaron doesn't feel like he has anything for it. he's kind of depleted. He brings the song, he tries to write for the song, he brings in this, he's got kind of he's on empty essentially. He brings it, and then it's just met with being like, what happened to our big fun pop sort of rock single that we thought we were going to have, right? And I feel like there was that moment of just coming to terms with this is what the song is now. Like, there's no going back. And I feel like there was lots of attempts to like, well, can you kind of like put like a more of a staccato edge like on these lyrical? Can you become more elevated? There's a lot of like, can you do it, Aaron? I feel like the neuron pathways are sort of set where it's like, I can't unhear what I've written.
The song is done. Yeah,
the song is done, unfortunately. And this is a situation where we're like, damn, do we take Spacely's off the record? Like, we kind of feel like we have to put it on. I kind of see it as a little bit of a role player, like Carousels. Carousels is also a track that Aaron really does not like. He feels probably similarly, where it's like piecemeal, kind of meandering, doesn't really have a thematic meanings to it that can be listened to across the record. And he just kind of feels like he just kind of like, it's just kind of threw it out there, whatever spaghetti stuck to the wall, that's what we were getting. And I feel like he feels similarly about Spacely's, or Burnham Wood, as it's called. So it's a song that just, I feel, was disappointing. I'm surprised it's on the record, to be honest.
Yeah.
To me, it shouldn't be on the record, because I feel like we were trying to like square peg round hole a little bit with it.
But it makes a lot of sense.
People love it
as like a like penultimate track, because I feel like that tension is like, you can feel that tension within the song of like Aaron's delivery versus what the instrumentation is doing.
In fact, like, having all that context makes me love it more, because I think that's what we're hearing from Aaron is like the self-doubt. And, you know, can we not call it a nervous breakdown? My nervous system breaking down. He literally says it, like he's struggling. And I like an artist that's a little vulnerable. And like I said up top, he's at his most vulnerable here. So surprise, surprise, TJ loves it. he likes the little sad boy, vulnerable. Authentic artist moment.
I think it completely works as a like penultimate track on this album. And like now, like having that context, kind of like TJ, like it makes me love it more.
Yeah,
and it's one of those songs that like I don't think it would really work anywhere else on the record.
Yep.
Sure.
Like if it was put anywhere else, I think you could cut it, but I think that tension is pretty palpable.
Yeah,
and it's helpful because then there's a real release at the end, right?
But it works for this point in the record,
and especially with that outro. Like the outro is pretty cool.
Yeah. How did it make the record, though? Was this one because of the whole Pale Horse 5 minute that just didn't get caught off of the original?
No. I mean, it got put on because guys still like it musically. Okay. And we weren't going to put Chapel Cross on the record because it was so acoustically driven. However, Chapel Cross Towns is the stronger song. Yeah. It just is.
Yeah.
Everything about it, lyrically. Musically you could debate it, but like I think that there's more of a sort of there's more of an appeal to Chapel Cross, an instant appeal, big sort of like crashing drums and guitars, and it's a way more dynamic song than Chapel Cross. And so to me, Chapel Cross, the fact that this was like this hard edge, being like me putting him into like Mike Weiss's ear to be like, we're not having acoustic guitar on this record. This is a rock record, and it got on, of course, Magic Lantern is. But that was like a thing. So it was like, Chapel Cross, like no bueno, it ain't happening. And so we're gonna move forward with this, and we're gonna try and make it like we're gonna try and get Aaron re-record it. We're gonna add harmonies. We're gonna do something or other, blah 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 blah, to make Spacely Sprockets work. Yeah, to me, like Chapel Cross is a stronger song. Now, so a song like Chernobyl 1985, originally called Twin Peaks, also I would have liked in a perfect world, maybe this is stupid, and I've thought about this and I haven't really thought about it since, but I like the idea of going from Magic Lantern days into Chernobyl in 1985. Just like you kind of have the sister songs right next to each other as a way to kind of like, to bring it into the last thing, as opposed to doing Burnham Wood. But Chernobyl hadn't been written yet, and so lyrically hadn't been put down yet, so it didn't make sense to do anything like that. So it was like you either have Chapel Cross, aka Rustico (parentheses Murder Ballad),
nice,
or you put on Burnham Wood, and so it was like, kind of, which one do you want? Those are the only songs that can be swapped out at this point. They're the only songs that have lyrics on them that we know are to be one or the other. And so we went with the more upbeat, so non-acoustic song on the record. This is like the part of the struggle of being like, not having the guy in the room to write the song. It's like, hey, I got, you need 11 track record. Well, I have 12 songs. So like, which one do you want to cut? And then we'll put the rest of them together. Have fun, So to me, it makes Pale Horses a little flawed in that way. And it's not a song that's ever really worked live too, as a result. And that's also, I think, an indication where it's like, maybe this isn't it. And that's not to say this is a bad song. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's really not. If this song was on, it's a cool song. I know. The choruses are cool. It just didn't meet expectations, and I don't think that it hit. It wasn't like the big like punch at the end that everyone like wanted. Like the record kind of tapers at this point. After Motown Philly, Lilac Queen, right? Or sorry, after Blue Hen into Lilac Queen, it kind of tapers before it goes into Log Splitter and goes big. And I think that the sort of there was a desire, I think, for more momentum moving into the back half of the record. Because another topic of discussion was like, is the record too front loaded?
Right. But okay. But looking back on it, 10 years distance and just 3 random guys on a podcast, I think it really works because each song almost kind of does what the entire record does, in that like it's one thing for like 2/3 of each song and then 2/3 of the record. And then it kind of totally, like almost every song kind of like totally shifts right at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for me personally, like it feels like it really works that the entire record kind of mirrors that song structure as well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's a cool way to look at it.
That leads into the last track. Comes down to this track number 11, Rainbow Signs.
Or what was it, Mike?
Log Splitter.
Log Splitter.
You used to imagine the chop logs to the arm over the shoulder, just the axe coming down. Okay. That's a log splitter. That's what that is.
Outro. Okay, I see. So we get the callback of the Pale Horse songs of Slow Decline, Sideshow Words If the Songs Don't Mind, which is cool.
I'm also tracking that TJ has not had a favorite song until now.
I'm splitting those logs, baby.
Might I join you out there, TJ?
Yeah, Josh, come on, man. The water's fine.
To use Mike's quote in our text thread, Rainbow signed me up for that.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Excellently done. It's epic, dude. It's epic.
Yeah.
That's all I need to say.
I mean, if I could have this guitar tone on every song that I wrote, I would die happy.
I mean, you've got the EBO in there. You've got the cool delayed sound, and you got the heavy stuff too. Like someone a while ago in the Starflyer 59 Facebook group mentioned how this song has Starflyer 59 gold vibes, and I gotta admit, 100%. It does, and it makes me like the song even more.
Interesting.
That's cool.
Coming soon to a podcast next week on Church Hymns Now near you.
Nice.
Church Hymns.
We finally get the Aaron dropping the F-bomb.
Yeah.
For my fucked up Napoleon of St. Helena hairline. Threw a mute curse at the Boise sky for my fucked up Napoleon of St. Helena.
Yeah,
hairline.
throw a mute curse
Great
and then audibly says the curse.
Yes.
kind of a
it's
little
so
muted.
perfect.
So you kind of get like
So
a
good.
kind of an O Porcupine moment there, but
Yeah.
it's
Right.
You do,
Except he
hear it.
actually says the
He
F
says,
word.
yeah.
Yeah, instead
Right.
of feigning
Right.
it.
Also, I like the interpolation of clouded rearrangement of sounds we knew. Right, he takes that line from.
Oh, I
Pale
never picked that.
and-
Never picked that up. You're right.
and it's a clouded rearrangement. It's not just like singing it note for note kind of thing or word for word,
Mm-hmm.
which is a nice.
And then also
shift.
the line,
It's a
God
full
gave
circle.
Noah the rainbow sign, no more water is the H-bomb next time, is
Woo.
so good.
Now, is it? I thought it was declarative, like it's the H bomb next
I
time.
always
no more.
thought it was, but it's a question.
Is it not?
Yeah.
It's a question.
Yeah.
Well,
I
you
thought
know
it was
what?
declarative too. That's crazy.
No, it
you
is a
know what?
question.
I would go back and listen to it and determine that because Aaron
Yeah,
can
'cause
be
it
Aaron,
sounds
Aaron
like
likes to
there's
be
a
Aaron
T.
likes to be tricky
Okay.
about
With
like
what he
that
writes
lyric.
versus
He likes
what he
to,
sings. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Right.
like I assume it's just like it just adds more depth to the actual lyric
Yeah.
itself by
Mhm.
you
I
either
like it
however
being
you
more
hear it, however you read it.
declarative.
Yeah,
I
me
prefer
too.
that version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, same.
it plays into the scarecrow god. It plays into this idea of
right.
like that God is actually malevolent.
Yeah, it's like a threat. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
What's this speaking happening in the
Yeah.
background?
that's
there, Mike?
that's Elliot. That's Elliot.
Okay, I wondered.
Oh.
But it's
great. That's
inaudible.
great to
I have
know.
no idea what it's being said.
Right, just a clip of him.
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
maybe it's a voicemail, or maybe it's because Ella would leave voicemails. If he had your number, he'd call you. And if you didn't pick up,
Right.
he'd leave a message. It could be something else. I mean, I think that Elliot also, like himself, like his, well, it was a mystic, right? As part of the Bawa Mahideen Fellowship out in Overbrook, and so he himself, a Sufi Muslim, would be prophetic in his own way, or be sort of proselytizing. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but preaching about
Mm-hmm.
Jesus or God or the Prophet Muhammad or Bawa Mahideen himself. So probably
Right.
something along those lines.
That's cool.
I think the sample exists on a pedal board, but I don't actually know what the sample is. You know what? That's
Oh,
actually funny.
interesting.
I wonder if Mike Lane actually has access to it. I don't know. That's our front of house engineer and the person who mixed all the live records.
Oh, so that's cool that they would put it in the live whenever they would play live.
I think
too.
that he may. I think I could be totally wrong. I could be wrong on that.
And this is the one, of course, that you mentioned before that Nick Fury and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. got
Mhm.
changed.
Yeah.
And it got changed into, so Beasts of the Battersea Shield was like I'll change it to this line.
Yes.
Okay. Which is
Yes.
funny because there's a Morrissey song, You're the One for Me, Fatty. Yeah.
We're all good. Yes, which
Yeah.
we're all good with. You want to put Morris in there? Be my guest.
Morrissey's
But-
fine.
Morrissey's
Wonderful.
MC
Just not
MCU
Marvel.
is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, is it a reference to that? To that
Not
song?
the MCU.
Okay. Oh well, no. the
no, yes.
Battersea.
I mean, there is a Battersea like power station, right? That had like a meltdown of some kind, or
Oh,
it's a
okay.
nuclear power plant of some kind. Battersea.
Yeah.
But I assume that when he did choose that very much so that the Morrissey
It was
thing was
supposed to be
was
couched in there.
was front of mind. Yeah.
Okay, I
Right.
can't find it, but I remember reading in that song, like Morrissey was talking about that he just picked Battersea because of like the vowels or like the sound.
Yeah,
He
for
needed
sure.
that sound for the song. So I love that
Totally.
in both the Morrissey song and this one, Battersea was like, this works. Like the original one didn't
Yeah.
work, but we can put Battersea in there. So if you're having trouble writing your
totally.
song, put Battersea in it. It'll work.
Totally.
Also, can I just say, I think Me Without You is the only band that can make measuring out 2 pounds of barley, 6 pounds of buckwheat sound so hoard. Like
Yes.
the
Yeah.
the place that Aaron hits that line with, like what's happening in the band, like right there with that guitar, the bendy line, and like just how hard Ricky's playing. Like you can tell all the boys are
Yeah.
digging in, and like,
Yes.
and then Aaron is just like leaving it all on the table with his vocal performance, and he's singing about barley and wheat.
Right.
Yes.
It's the coolest thing. Like it's so punk rock.
In a way that, like, based on delivery, like, if that line was on It's All Crazy, that would have
Right.
been really good, but maybe like a little cute.
Cute and folksy. Because
Yeah.
that's the vibe for a
But
lot of that
on
stuff.
this, it's like, hey, we recognize like our like cute folksy phase. We're also just like, hey, fucking
Yeah, this ain't it right now.
remember Minor Threat? Like, remember
Yeah.
that we're like a punk rock band? Like, and that's what I love about
Right.
this record as a whole. Like it feels
Mhm.
like such an extension of like everyone sort of taking where they came from,
Mhm.
and then all of the sort of like twists and turns of like where they went creatively and musically, and taking the best elements of all of that
Yep.
and like bringing back just like the fucking rock and roll kind of thing and putting it all together in the best way possible.
Yeah. The buckwheat thing, and Josh, you have the lyric book there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a verse from Matthew, right?
Do you have the lyric book, Josh?
Yes, I gotta find it. There's Aaron writes a lot of lyrics.
Go
I don't know
back
if
to
you
the
guys
thank.
know.
Go back to the thank yous.
Oh, the thank yous. Okay,
All right. Read the second name.
Buckwheat McKim and
Yes.
family.
Amazing.
Yes. So buckwheat
my
is actually
God.
it's a reference to Keisha McKim, now Keisha Weiss, his wife,
Oh, that's great.
because she's called Buckwheat McKim because it's folksy, right? It's kind of funny sounding, but it originates from, and the in Pale Horses, that lyric is, I believe, is clearly a reference to Keisha, like a wink at Keisha. Is because when we were in Kuala Lumpur at I forget, like maybe a Four Seasons, it was a nice hotel that we didn't pay for. They had pillow options at this Four Seasons, and one of the pillow options was a buckwheat pillow. And I think so. There's so you get in your room and like you have a pillow menu, and I think Aaron was very tickled by that, and so they ordered different pillows to their room, and so I think that Keisha maybe had the buckwheat pillow, or maybe he just teased her about ordering the buckwheat pillow, and so he called it buckwheat McKim.
That's so good.
So yeah, it's a little wink and a nod, I think, to Keisha.
That's great.
Right. And so there's a whole family aspect there too, where he's talking about relating like his father and his wife in the same song.
Yeah.
And even though it's not directly, I feel like it's still just kind of like a little pinpoint in there. Yeah.
And anybody that knows, like,
in a song that has inside jokes being referenced in them, or things like that too as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, earlier when I brought up the inside joke thing, how that, I think we were all kind of winking about the fact that we know that is a device that Aaron likes to use and it's effective, and how cool it is that it can have like an overt meaning or two or three, and then it also has the secret personal meaning. I love that he sort of brings everybody into the joke by calling it out to end the record, right? We've got this like massive scale apocalyptic insanity and like very heady ideas of like relationship and God and self, and then like he pulls it all the way down from the macro to the micro and just makes it very personal and human, just ending it on like an Abrahamic joke we knew, but we'll keep the punchline between
me and you. But so yeah, I still like the fact that like we don't know what it is.
Right.
No.
Yeah. He's like announcing it, but also, sort of withholding it.
Not. Exactly. It's like, it's perfect because it lets you in and makes you feel like you're part of the joke, but he still gets to keep the part of it that needs to be personal just for him, to make that song retain its like meaning and substance for I'm sure for him, because I know it has to be like deeply personal and probably emotionally rich for him, and maybe cathartic, maybe hard, I don't know, but it is a beautiful song, and it's such a perfect closer.
Yeah, I think this is also a song that Greg didn't like this song. I don't think Greg really appreciates. Well, Greg's. I don't mean to call him out specifically, but I think he was just like, "Oh man, we're writing like a big heavy song." He likes the Dorothy's and the Magic Lantern Days and the Aubergines.
Okay.
Greg is a much more. He finds a lot of peace in those. He loves to listen to like Angel Olsen. That's like an artist that Greg would like be obsessed with, right? So that's where his heart and that he kind of brings out a little bit of that
Gotcha.
that soulfulness and that melancholy sort of
Yeah.
vibe in the band for sure.
But he's like,
Mm.
I can rock if I have to.
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, so I'll put on like he's like, yeah, I'll go to work also. But like, I think that he was kind of bummed that it was like, oh man, just kind of. I don't think he wasn't vibing with it, but I think everyone else was so stoked. He's just like, what can I do? Like,
Right.
and
right.
obviously he loves this song now. Everyone has a good time playing it. But I think it was just like, yeah, I can't remember him being like, I don't really want to. It wasn't stoked on the demo, right?
Right.
Yeah, when that was being written.
All right.
Yep.
So we did it. We listened through Pale Horses, and I want to know. Okay, so usually at this point, we go on a diatribe where we defend our binary reductive system of whether this album is a flop or a bop. But I think we can probably forgo that on this episode.
It's a bop.
Correct?
It's a bop. Yeah.
It's a bop for everybody. So what I would like to do, I would like to start with TJ, if that's okay. And then I would like to throw it to Mike. I want to hear how this record hits you now and how this listening experience was 10 years
later
after the release.
It's a good question. For me, it really holds up, and it, like I said earlier, like it kind of vies for the top spot. It fights with Brother Sister, and I was kind of wondering going into this, kind of the listen throughs and the research and all that for this episode. I was kind of wondering if it would still hold the top spot, and it really, really still does. I think that, like I said, in 2015, when this record came out, it hit at a perfect time. It really resonated with me as I was in a season of my life where I was, you can call it deconstructing if you want. I think I was definitely searching and maybe spiritually composting a lot of things in my life. Yeah, relationships were changing. I had come back from living abroad for 2 years. There was a lot of change happening for me, and I could sense a lot of change happening for Aaron and kind of evolution in the band and in him as a writer, in the music. It was definitely, like, as we've said, kind of a return to form in some ways, but also just a really beautiful synthesis of everything they had ever done leading up to that point. And it kind of blew me away. Like, the density of the writing, like we've touched on, blew my mind and drew me in. Kind of like Kylan mentioned earlier, how you said, like, it works on multiple levels of, like, I caught that reference. Oh, I'm smart. I didn't catch these 17 references. Oh, I guess I need to do some research. But how cool it is that, like, it's going to be rewarding because there's always new layers to understand. And then 10 years later, you get on a podcast with, somebody who's just as close to the music as those that, are on the recorded versions of it, to get the inside scoop and, like, understand the heart and soul and mind behind these songs and the inside jokes and the references that I never thought I would be privy to. So it's really a gift to 10 years down the road, like, have all of this new input and insight about this record that only further enriches it for me. So, I mean, it's still the top spot. It's an amazing record. I don't think anybody's arguing with that. But I just got to say, Josh, I got to throw it back to you and just say thanks for, like you promised, kind of redeeming the year for me. Started out dark, but we got here, and now it's pale. Now the year is pale. And that's a good thing.
But in a good way, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. Before we throw it to Mike, Josh, I want to hear your perspective too.
Well, this is, I don't want to, I'm outing myself a little bit. This is not in vying for one of the top spots for me Without You records. I'd maybe say 4, honestly. But
wow,
it has,
all right.
It's just because I like the other record, because the other records are really good too, guys.
So that's true,
not
man.
because it's
We agree.
bad.
No.
Yeah. So I have really enjoyed this, and this is going to, I don't know, I have Untitled at 3, I think, but I really love
I
Untitled.
like to hear
I
that.
really love Untitled, so I don't
You don't
know.
want to know where
will-
Untitled hits for me.
Oh no!
But I like the fact that you would say that Untitled is 3. That makes me happy.
No, I really like that record. So it has some work for it if it's going to try to move up the ranks and then top or topple that one first. But from our conversation tonight, you know what? There's some. It's got some ammo. We'll see.
The conversation was a bop.
The conversation was a bop.
Sweet. Okay, Mike, I know you talked about this a little bit up top, just how this record is in sort of conversation with Catch. But, if you could succinctly talk about that again, like, how do you feel about this record now? It's 10 years old. It's in middle school.
Yeah. 10 years old. So I kind of talked about myself reflecting upon it. The thing that I think is really cool about it now 10 years later is that it's had its time to sort of marinate within the sort of the culture of the fan base. And I like the fact that it's in people's, like, I see it a lot. I see people on the subreddits doing their album orders. And I like the fact that I see it at the top of a lot of people's lists. Some people put it as the number 1.
Yeah.
Some people put it as number 2, number 3. The fact that it's even in a top 3 discussion for, I feel like, a lot of the hardcore fans makes me very, very proud of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's very common for a band on their 6th album, 14 years into their career, that you're going to have another, like, fan favorite on your hands. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that Pale Horses speaks to the enduring talent of the band.
100%.
And their appeal, ultimately. And it speaks to the fact that, yes, they're willing to take risks and they're willing to change and they're willing to be themselves in the most, like, exhausting and frivolous ways. And I say frivolous is in terms of, like, having fun with it.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm very proud of Me Without You on LP6 making a classic 14 years into it and people digging it.
Yeah.
And I say classic, I mean being received very well 10 years later, 14 years into their career. So that to me is really exciting because it just feels like
you got the juice.
Yeah, you got the juice, right? Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Okay, I will very briefly say this right at the end. I was unfamiliar with this record until we had to listen to it for this show. And I know, right? I know. I feel like I
mean, you had to listen to, the whole Jars of Clay discography and really dissect.
I'm so fucking pissed. I'm so mad.
Caveman's Call and Delirious.
Dude, I'm so mad.
These are bands that you really need to dedicate your attention to. Yeah. So I get it.
I could have spent all of this time listening to Pale Horses by Me Without You. This is so fucking good. I love it. Yep. And now it is in conversation for me in terms of, like, top. I mean, I think Brother Sister is still my top, but I think it's better than Catch for Us the Foxes.
Cool. Says the guy who flopped it, so what does that really mean?
Okay. That's true. I forgot about that on this episode. Hot take. This is a good record by a good band.
Wow.
True take.
Really going out on a
limb.
I'm
accurate take.
My gosh.
I know. I'm speaking truth to power over there.
Clickbait.
There's our TikTok clips. Pale Horses
truth to
power. Okay. Mike, do you want people to find you online?
Is there any kind of store that people should go to?
Everyone please go to mewithoutYou.com and buy something because I need to finance these last 2 live albums that we're trying to put out. And it's been slow. It's been slow.
All right. Go check out.
I mean, no, it's been strong, and Me Without You
That's
has
right.
never been
Yes,
stronger,
yes.
and we don't need your money.
But
We
if
don't need
you
it.
want to give it, it's
We
nice.
like
But if you
it.
want to give it,
But we don't need
it because it is a paycheck for me, and
for sure. Okay.
yeah.
Well, if you like this, we have more nonsense like it at our Patreon at patreon.com/ChurchGamesNow podcast. Of course, from all of us here at the CJN crew, may all your favorite bands stay together. Peace out, Monfreres.
Out now, red cows.